no, it's George calling. What does he want?
Near Lawrenceburg in Lawrence County, Tennessee in 1955. And this is in the woman's own words, and my accent isn't very good at doing Tennessee accents. This was 53 years ago. It was in Etheridge, Tennessee. I don't remember how to get back to the old farm place, but even if I did, it's not the same anymore. So much land has been cleared. Hello all. I'm a 56-year-old woman that has never given a second thought to the life of what people call a Bigfoot. I knew him as Whistling Paddy as a child. That is what my grandparents and all the neighbours called him. Our neighbours were few and far between, but every one of them knew the Whistling Paddy. That is what they called him. I myself can remember his screaming and whistling sounds as a child. We lived in the deep woods in Etheridge, Tennessee, with no electricity or indoor plumbing. He was always around, and we were used to his sounds, and he came for scraps at night. He did not eat any meat, only peelings from potatoes and other veg. He or she was white with red eyes, like as I know some folks are called albino, I guess. My grandparents were not learned people. They could not read or write. They had to sign with an X and saw him or her lots of times and thought it was okay. I called it him, so I guess it was a male. My aunt, who lived about a mile away, opened her back door one night, threw out her dishwater and threw it on Paddy because he was standing at the back door. It did not scare her, because she was used to him. Although she had 9 children, she went and got some potatoes and gave him, for she said he was hungry. This Paddy was about 7 to 8 feet tall and did not ever hurt anyone. I'd like to know if anyone else has ever heard one called a Whistling Paddy, because that is what he was called when I was a small child growing up in those woods. And we did not fear him, but we had to come inside right before dark, because Mama could say, Paddy is out here, and we can't trust him. We don't know who he is. If anyone else ever knew of a Bigfoot that was called by the name of Whistling Paddy, I would like to know. My grandparents were Indian and knew many things, but were not smart when it came to the real world. They knew how to get by with 10 children and live a good life in the woods, and how spider webs packed into a wound would stop bleeding. And they knew, as I did, Paddy was real. He would tear the bark off of the trees that my young uncles had tree houses built in. My uncles are still alive. They could tell more than me. Everyone who lived in the area knew Paddy. He was always came at dusky dark, never bright daylight. It was hardwood forest woods all around. There was whiskey stills in the woods. My grandpa had one also. Always as a child, neighbours would come, sometimes, and tell me about the Paddy who was at their house or in the woods behind their house. The other night they gave him food too. Even if it was potato peelings, he would take them. We were poor people and cooked our peelings for the family to eat. But my mum always made sure we had a full belly and saved something for Paddy.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good night.
I hope y'all like the intro.
I missed half of it.
Hello.
Went down.
How are you
But I
guys
love
doing?
Whistling Paddy.
It's a great story.
It is. I love
Because
that
it's
story.
real. Everyone
Yeah.
loves that story. It's
That's
real.
right. That's why I used it. It's so good.
And
Yeah.
my Tennessee accent is so authentic.
I wouldn't
Never
have
can see
known.
enough of that from you. Right. Just sit down and shut up in the back of the class. You're not going to learn anything.
You wouldn't have known it was you if we weren't watching the screen.
No, we won't. Totally.
I don't know. That sounds pure Sydney cider to me. But what can I say?
It depends on whether
I
you're
have to
an
let
Eastern
my cat
suburbs or
in, you
Western
guys.
suburbs.
I'm having a cat emergency. He's
Yeah,
like,
no problem.
my cat.
That's fine.
His name is Thor, and he's like crying at the door
Oh.
here. So I'm gonna
That's
so
wild.
excuse me for 1 second. I know that's terribly unprofessional to go on
It's
camera
fine.
and then
Right.
walk
Do
away.
you really think we're professional?
Christmas special, you do what you want.
Well, we try. Give me 1 second. I have to attend
Yeah,
to
that's
Thor. Thor
Yes.
the cat.
Throw the cat out.
Or as I used to say on Are You Being Served, Earl is off to tend to his pussy.
Close the door, sweetie. Okay.
There you go.
My wife interceded for me. There we go.
My cat's asleep over there.
I didn't
Mine's
know that
asleep.
she was still home. She has to run out and do last minute Christmas shopping still.
Oh, yes.
Oh, don't
Good
do
luck
it.
with that.
Don't do
Not
it.
me. I'm doing that.
Not
You
worth
you
it.
couldn't
Not worth it.
bribe me to go and Christmas shop today with a mess that is out there.
As soon as I got in the shopping centre, first thought in my head was, first person to knock into me is going to be lay on the floor.
Yeah.
You must have
And that
left
was-
a trail
that
of
was-
destruction.
Luckily, it was busy, but not as busy as I thought it was going to be.
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
So
I said that to you earlier. There was hardly anybody out when I went out.
I didn't want to be there, but
I did
I
mine
went
6
out
months
2 days ago, and that was it. I'm all done.
Yeah, me too.
I may have to run to the
Amazon.
corner store to pick up, help the Claus with a couple of stocking things. But other
Yeah.
than that, we're.
Amazon online.
Yeah, a bit late now.
I
aren't
don't
they?
know if they're not going to
It's
deliver
not.
that
I'm still
that
delivering
quickly.
tomorrow.
Though. Wow.
I used to work for him, didn't I? Back
Ugh.
in the day. Yeah.
That's
Not
no
fun.
fun.
No.
No. So anyway, so we are across the world tonight.
Oh, we
So
are.
we go from California to the north and south of the UK,
Yes.
right the way down to the southern hemisphere. Is it New South Wales?
I hope so. It was there
Yeah.
last time.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, and everyone else is somewhere in between, hopefully.
Yeah.
Who cares
Unless-
about them?
Unless we've got ETs watching, but you never know.
Well, we've got Paul in New Zealand.
Oh, we're global. We've gone global.
Yeah, we're global.
There
There
we
you go. We've got ET.
Oh,
Ah.
He's
Oh.
gonna speak instead of me. I think
that's
he's.
cute.
It's more E.T.'s cousin, that one.
This one,
Oh,
Earl,
but
you
no,
know,
don't
you know,
switch him
I'm
on.
not touching it. You know Eric Mintle?
Hmm?
Do you know Eric Mintle?
I don't think so. Now I'm having trouble getting them back on the
I
shelf.
think I asked you last time.
Okay.
There you go. Stay.
I'll trump your E.T.'s
Anyway, he made me buy
with a
that.
genuine Sekhmet.
Oh,
Oh wow!
is that made out of
Sekhmet,
stone?
the destroyer. Yeah, it's
Wow, that's pretty
limestone
cool.
Egyptian.
Wow.
I love it. I love it.
that.
Now, he's
Sekhmet
one,
was responsible for the great cataclysm 12,000 years ago.
always one show
My
off, isn't
goodness.
Yeah, I always am.
Top
Well, now
trump.
we have someone to blame.
Yeah. When you're talking with people with massive egos, this is what you get.
Dad, what are you showing? Be careful.
Hey,
Flashing
Deb,
lights
control
and a
yourself.
witchy hat.
I
That's
know.
as
That's
far as it
you're all set up.
Deb,
That's like
you're
the
beautiful
Nightmare
enough
Before
as you are.
Christmas kind
Yeah,
of
that's all that's
combo.
going
That
on. There's no
works.
tree up.
No.
It's all upstairs. I just can't be bothered bringing it down.
Oh, mine's here. You can see most of it.
Yeah.
So,
Hmm.
Right. So who's got some stories for us then? Go on, Earl. Tell us these tales you were telling us
You
off air.
want me to tell you a story? Do you want to hear like a local UFO case? I mean, I get them. I have a lot of them. I think I'm
Yeah.
up to personally having. Now you have to remember when I say that I've investigated the UFO case, like probably a good 70% of the time, it's a drone or a planet or something that somebody misidentified. But we get some
Shrooms.
really good cases. And
Yeah.
I'm up to like 900 cases at this point that I've
wow.
personally, now some of those cases it took me 10 minutes to look at, know what it was. It's like, okay, drone on flash mode.
Yeah.
It's some kid with his hobby drone, for his birthday.
Yeah.
But we get some good stuff. And we had, I was talking a little bit about this case before we went on. And I'll just read directly from the file.
Yeah.
I try to write my files so they're readable and, so anyhow, okay, in early, there are two different cases that are very similar to each other. Here's the first one. In the early 1950s, 1950 to 1955, the witness and his childhood friend were living in Echo Park in Los Angeles County. It's kind of a hilly area, and I worked there myself at one point, so I knew exactly what this guy was talking about. They were using cardboard boxes to play toboggan down an embankment. We have this stuff ice plant that's it'll work almost like sledding on snow.
All right.
They were playing toboggan down the embankment. After reaching the bottom of the hill, the witness and his friend noticed a silver cigar-shaped UFO with a blunt end on one side and a smooth nose on the other. The object had no markings. It silently floated 5 feet in the air, 200 feet away from the witnesses. The object had no surface features, no windows, and appeared seamless. The boys went back up the hill and tobogganed down again, noticing that the object had stopped moving as if to watch them. The boys stopped to wave at the object. I mean, I could see this. And, you're talking like a couple of 8 to 10-year-old kids, and they seem to have a propensity for accepting magic more easily than us adults sometimes. So they stopped to wave at the object. Then the two boys watched as the UFO made a half turn, tilted slightly towards the sky, then shot off into the cloudless sky until it disappeared into the vanishing point. Wonderful old case. And I love when I get these historical cases because it's almost like a time capsule. We can kind of see how the phenomena has been acting over the years. And so anyway, I thought that was a wonderful case. Well, then we had another case that was kind of near the San Diego area. And it was two gentlemen in their 50s.
Yeah.
And they like to go motorcycle riding up in the hills near San Diego. So these guys, I don't even have to look the case up because I remember it so well. It's just another case, totally different guys, closer to my age. So anyway, they were motorcycle riding up in the hills, and they reached the apex of the trail. And when they got to the top of this hill, they saw the same object, the same kind of object. It was the size of a railroad car. It was silver, kind of chromed looking, had a nose on one end, and it looked like it had been cut off on the other end, like it just
Yeah.
sliced it there. And the thing was hovering there 5 to 7 feet above the ground, just hovering. Of course, this was two, guys that are in their 50s, and so they're just like, just they stopped their bikes. The one guy got off his bike and he started walking towards it, and the exact same thing happened. It turned around. It made like a 90-degree tilt towards the sky. And then he said that at first he thought that it disappeared, but no, you could see it. You could see it in the distance. It just shot off so fast that it almost appeared to disappear.
Mhm.
So that's like the exact same. The two boys back in 1955. Now it's two older gentlemen here in 2000 and 2022. But the UFO acted the exact same way. It looked the same way. I wonder if it was the same craft. I mean, I don't know that ET if time is the same for them. They seem to be masters of time, space, matter, and mind.
Yeah.
And So maybe it was the same craft, the same day from, what's, 50 years, or 60 years to ET is maybe like a blink of an eye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was two wonderful cases. They came in kind of close to each other,
Yeah.
totally unrelated. The men didn't know each other. The one guy is now he's in his, I guess, his 80s or late 70s. I guess his late 70s is 1955. Yeah, late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah.
But the guy's mind was totally sharp. He had a great sense of humor. We were kind of laughing at the behavior of
Yeah.
seeing something that anomalous and strange. And what do? They're waving at it.
Yeah. No.
So
Not the first
there
time.
you go. I got now it's you guys' turn. I started you off.
Go
I'll
on, George.
throw one in. It's not the first time I've seen interactions of waving with people in my own database, which is probably small compared to yours. It's only 7,500 pages in chronological order from 1600 to 1999.
Wow.
Volume 12 I released last night. It's 22 volumes. Here's a good little one. I'll go to the other end of the spectrum. Possibly one of England's oldest Bigfoot cases. Yes, Bigfoot. The Woodwoes in the Blighty, for God's sake. At Earthedge, near Yeovil, England, one night in 1623, Mr. Edmund Anstey of South Pefferton had occasion to return home by night from Woodbury Hill Fair, a market well known in the West Country. I'm not going to try a West Country accent. Coming to a place... Oh, no. Coming to a place not far from Yeovil, noted by the name of Earthedge, or Outhedge, his horse rushed very violently with him against one side of the bank, snorting and trembling very much, so that he could by no means put him on his way. But he still pressed nearer to the bushes. You can imagine this in a hedgerow-lined English path, not even wide enough for a mini-miner. At length, Mr. Anstey heard the hedges crack with a dismal noise, and perceived coming towards him in the road, which is very pretty wide, probably 4 foot wide, a large circle of a duskish light, about the bigness of a very large wheel. And in it, he perfectly saw the proportion of a huge bear, as clearly as if it had been daylight. The spectre passed near him, and as it came just over against the place where he was, the monster looked ghastly at him, showing a pair of very large flaming eyes. As soon as ever it was gone by, his horse sprung into the road, and made homeward with so much haste that he could not possibly rein him high, and had much ado to keep the saddle. The old gentleman is lately dead, and by now he's very much lately dead. But there are many of the neighbours of good reputation that have often heard him relate this passage, and upon inquiry can witness the truth of it. This is shades of 1954 in France, and the late 1960s in Pennsylvania.
Ooh.
How far back do we go? The bear in the disc. The French UFO reports, October 5th, 9th, 15th, I think, plus a dozen others, of 1954. 4.5 foot tall, hairy hominid coming out of a UFO. You know the scenario. Here comes... Hang on. That's not Orthon from Venus. It's not a grey. What the hell are you doing here? A little bug-eyed, big-eyed, furry one just goes back in and gone. Uniontown, Pennsylvania, 1968. Everyone's expecting the usual greys, Orthon, you name it. Pleiadians, Oronians, Draconians, pick an onion, onions, I have no idea. Pick an onion. Who comes out? 7.5 foot tall. Bigfoot. Hang on. No. Star Wars wasn't around till 75. This is 68. What's happening here? What are our observers seeing? Because that's one of the big mysteries of UFOs and Bigfoot and other phenomena. What are we actually seeing? What are we actually witnessing? Smelling, feeling, touching, being invaded by, being some cases raped by.
Hmm?
What reality are we in at the moment?
Hmm.
And is it an individual reality of that observer alone? Or is it a group reality? And that brings us to the future. It brings us to, well, how could I not include Ariel School? We all know Ariel. I bored you with it last time. Where are we?
No,
Oh, is it?
Ariel
unfortunately, I don't remember.
What?
I don't
Ariel's a
remember,
little
George.
school in Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
One of
Oh,
my
yeah.
favorite
In the
cases.
late
I love that
60s.
case.
One of my favourite things about it, and
Is
anyone while they're listening can Google up ARIELTON.
Was that the one with the 40 kids?
Yeah, the
Yes.
kids all witnessed. Yeah.
That's
I had
it.
It's John Mack, I think, was the
Yeah. I had
original
this conversation
investigator on
today.
Yeah.
I was
What I
having
love
this
about it
conversation today. That was well weird.
is not that they saw anything. Yeah, okay. They saw UFO, hominids, out, wander, back in, gone.
Hmm. Wow.
That's not the interesting thing. It's rather dépassé, really. We've had millions of them over thousands of years. Years later, or sometime later, the researcher, I can't remember his name, my memory's not as good as it used to be, asked them to draw what they saw.
Yeah.
It's also been done in Wales as well at another sighting I can't remember the name of.
Yes, it was.
Recently. Draw what they saw. These aren't toddlers. These are kids, 10, 11, 12. They know how to draw something. They've gone beyond box house with roof and one door and this mangled thing called the car.
Yeah.
Hmm.
They're pretty good. Why then are all the craft different? Why then are all the hominids different? Why then do we have different numbers of windows on the craft?
Yeah.
Why then do we have different colours to different parts of the craft? We know a physical event occurred. It left trace evidence. I only collect accounts that leave trace evidence or are multiply witnessed independently. Otherwise, my database would be 5 billion pages long and growing by the minute.
Yeah.
As fussy as Earl.
Mm.
Is it?
Hmm.
The observer, and I write about this in my books. As you can see, there are 40 or 50 of them behind me. I think I've got 106 on Amazon now. Oh, sorry. Published one last night. 107 on Amazon now.
He's not keeping count.
No.
No, Amazon counts them. I can't keep track of them. Amazon has full lists. It counts them.
Do you think that what people see is what's necessarily there? I mean, that's a big question for me. I mean, why is it that
Yes and no.
all of these entities, they're all bipedal with two arms and a head and a torso? I mean, I don't know that the universe really favors that shape. I mean, how come we're not seeing octopoids or
The witness.
you know?
We get our reports from, we believe, humans.
Mm-hmm.
They're about the only ones we understand. My concept is, as things come through, and I'm not going to bore you with the quasar vacuum or how wormholes operate.
Mm-hmm.
I've discussed it with physicists. They love it. Everyone else is still totally blank and wishes I'd leave. Because I've tried to work out wormhole mechanisms instead of just saying, it went through a wormhole. Oh, great idea. Okay. How did it do that? No, well, call me next week. Whereas I decided to explain it and write about it and how it's done and how it's created and what causes it. No, we'll leave that part to the aliens.
Yeah.
They're pure transmogrifying. The witness is suddenly, and it happens in ancient observations of strange creatures. That's why I like old reports. The witness identifies it in the cultural context of the time and the speciest concept of the time. This is the species I believe is the most advanced. Therefore, whatever God I create, or alien, or whatever, is going to be in my image. It's because the brain is saying, I need to do this, or otherwise you're going to go stark raving mad because you're meeting the unknown. It is a preservation system. It is a protection system. And it's funnily enough, it's even mentioned in old books of magic. You go to the special spot that only opens at a particular time. And as Andy and Deb both know in my theories, places of events open and close, open and close, open and close, open and close, until I bore you with something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, your pattern graph.
Earl, you
Wow.
may not have met that. That's 1800 to 1977. Latitude east to latitude west, mainly North America, Atlantic Ocean, West Coast Europe. That's every report up until 1977 that I've collated, or I had collated till 1991 when I did this graph. Lovely sine waves. Beautiful
Wow.
sine waves.
That's a lot of activity
Well,
there.
work.
Yeah.
And the weird thing is, break it down mathematically.
Up a bit, up a bit.
I know, it's bloody hard. I wish I had the skills to do this.
There you
Oh,
go.
okay.
A little bit.
Okay. These funny wriggles, that's basically what I'm trying to show you. Based on the database that created this was in 1991. And then notice they keep getting bigger until they get very big.
Yes.
Are equivalent to the periodic times of the major planets. What I just showed you was the periodicity of Neptune, Uranus, Saturn. And this one, Persephone. Yes, you don't know Persephone. Christopher Illett, who's a Pasteur Prize-winning physicist, and I deduced Persephone at a distance of 515 astronomical units from the Earth. This was in 1991. Based purely on data, based purely on my research, which technically, according to science, is pure gibberish. Remember, that's the absurdity of it. UFOs, Bigfoot, lake monsters, sea monsters, lots of cases of spontaneous combustion, monsters in general. Sorry, schizoid hallucinations, effects of the brain, too many shrooms, who knows? But they're not supposed to exist. If things that are not supposed to exist, mathematically, how do they create that?
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Repetitive sine waves. 515-year orbits, 85-year orbits, and tying in with the major periodicities of the major planets. Just little things like that. Are these portal times? You know, your next train is leaving at station 3 1/4. Funny, they should have used that in the movie.
Yeah.
But it's only opening for a particular period.
Yeah.
I'll give you an archaeological example. I write on everything, Earl. I don't know if you've looked at what I write. They're all on Amazon. They've got pages and pages of them. The Mayas in Central America used to move their major temples every 56 years. So did the Aztecs. So did a lot of the Central Americans and South Americans.
To follow the
Every
portal.
56 years to follow the portals.
Oh.
They moved it during the time of the Great Burning, when they would quash all the burning flames and lights in their entire respective empires, at the periodicity of the Venus relative to Earth, which is 56 years, to represent when the Earth was last destroyed, which I refer back to the Great Cataclysm of 10 to 12,000 years ago, when the comet came from the direction of Venus, which they mistook for Venus, and it caused the damage. I'm not great at theories. I'm not great at philosophy. I prefer to look at mathematics and facts.
Yeah.
And so they're moving these things. And then I found later that great healing sanctuaries of ancient times were moved as well. And as I say now, you can sit in the main tomb, apparent tomb in the Great Pyramid and wait for a long time. You'll be bored shitless. It's
Nothing going on there now.
Yeah.
The portal moved. I get it.
All been and done.
Moved. They come back, but we got such differing periodicities. due to different times. And the thing is, this is all to do with anomalous phenomena. Most of these data are UFOs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
UFOs that are either trace evident, meaning they left a burn or a mark or a broken branch or something,
Yeah.
or Klieg conjunctivitis. That's always a good one.
Right.
Right.
It's caused by extremely bright light.
Hmm.
Yeah.
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 As something comes through and transmogrifies from a wormhole and reassembles,
Hmm.
light is the major effect. What a beautiful proof for movement through the cosmos.
Yeah.
Wow.
See, we don't have time and space anymore. Like, we're talking at the same time. We're 17 hours apart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excuse me? Extrapolate that to we have somebody on Alpha Centauri, 4.6 light years from here.
Hmm.
We're talking at the same time. We've gone beyond time and space. Extrapolate to another dimension. Same thing. Time is that fluid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think time is a shared hallucination. Yeah.
It's easy for
We
market
agree on
progress.
it that it exists, and we, we're some of us are kind of strapped to our clocks, but
We have to. I get or I lose wages when I go to work. I don't. All of us still have to go to work. I've got a 4-hour
Yeah, I
commute.
don't know if they'll take that excuse that, well, it's a different time in this dimension over here, so, and I mixed it up. I'm so sorry.
I've already done
mate.
a shift in the other dimension.
Yeah.
I'm not coming back in.
Yeah, I'm coming back before to do my shift now. Yes,
Mm.
I've already just done it.
I've done a week. I'm having my weekend.
So, George, are you a dimensionalist, or do you think that they're
All of the above.
Yeah. I'm
But I
pretty
regard
much like
the
that too.
concept of space travel with a machine using a fuel-propelled or magnetic-propelled or atomic-propelled machine is so slow and inconvenient.
Mhm.
I work on the assumption everything keeps theoretically progressing. And we believe that progression through our own ability to understand things is still pyramidal.
Yeah.
We'll leave that out of here, thank you. It attracts too many loonies. Actually, I'll bring up another quick case with that. I was only mentioning it yesterday in Canada. And that is, everyone goes on about the Great Pyramid. It's a stack of bricks, 2.5 tons each. Nice, lovely. Get enough people, they can stack them. They know where they quarried them. They moved them from across the other side of the Nile. They put them in a big mound. Pyramids are great. They don't fall over.
No.
Pyramid of Menkaure had a problem, but it started sinking a bit. But that's internal constructions. Okay, great. Looks wonderful. Yeah, nice for shots with camels and things outside Cairo. You want really good things? Try the Hajara Hubla in Baalbek in Lebanon. 1,600 tons, one single cut stone, still on its spine underneath it, where it's about to be detached from the earth, and suddenly they down tools. It might have been England in the 60s. Somebody looked at me, I'm downing my tools, we're out. Or England's railways today, basically.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
In the last few years, they discovered another 2 sister stones to the Hajara Huba, which means the stone of a pregnant woman. This is at Baalbek in Lebanon. They're 1,600 tons as well. And do you know what they were there for? They're still in their quarry, half a mile from the Temple of Baal. The Temple of Baal, on its oldest levels, is a gigantic rectangle.
Right.
They're about 100 feet high. On top of it, some of the greatest temples of antiquity were built. The Temple of Baal, the Temple of Jupiter, the Temple of Heliopolis, in this remote valley, in the Bekaa Valley in Lebanon, for some strange reason, the place where Baal landed. Or Baal, the Lord of the sky, came down and landed. And this thing looks like a gigantic space launching pad. In the terrace of the Temple of Baal, there are sister stones to these monsters that are up 20 meters. You want to talk to me about pissy blocks in a pyramid? When these things, no one can even work out how to move them from the quarry, let alone raise them. And the legends? We don't have any. It's always been here.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's always been here. Even the
Yeah.
Romans said it's always been here. And it was their biggest temple they ever built, the Temple of Jupiter.
Hmm.
The site was so sacred. Google it. As I say to people, Google things. My books are travel guides. They'll
Yeah.
show you where things are. They'll show you where events were. They'll give you the county. They'll give you the street number if you want it. If I can get the street number of the event, you'll have it. I'll
Yeah.
give you every lane on it. You can go down it. I'm not giving you 500 pages on one event. I haven't got the time for it. I'll give you the bones of it. You go
Yeah.
there. You have a look. You have a play.
Hmm.
Then you're starting to add to the vast knowledge base we need.
Hmm.
We need to map this.
Yeah.
We need to find our way back into the cosmos.
Yeah.
And I've been laughed at for many years over this. But there are physicists working on it now. They're still not
Good.
doing it right, but
Yeah. Well, at least
because
somebody's taking
it's
it
beyond mathematics.
seriously, at least, and that's, I mean, this is one of the biggest problems is that, the way that people, I mean, the very, very best UFO cases seem to have, they always have an element of absurdity in them. It's
That's the
almost
beauty of
like
it.
it's laughing at our at our idea of science, and that's why you have things like the Eagle River case where I love that one up where the UFO lands and they ask this gentleman to go get some pure water and they cooked him pancakes on a
Oatcakes.
hibachi grill. I mean, it's absurd.
And they're supposed to be such shitty tasting things too. They were dry and horrible, and it was a gruel cake, basically. And that's happened a few times. That's what I love about amassing tons and tons and tons of data. Granted, I don't have MUFON's resources. I've only got my own. But 7,500 pages is still pretty good. But
Yeah,
I'm
it's
releasing
very
it all
good.
because I got to look at the fact that I'm going to fall off the perch one day.
Get
I
it all out there.
know that my books will still be around in 100 years in a thrift shop somewhere. That knowledge, that data will live forever, even though I'll be gone.
Wonderful.
And then they can do what they want with my analysis of the data, or just read the things and say, wow, I want to see this. I want to feel this. Can this happen to me? The Locke syndrome. I think they have another name for it too. It was being used after Desmond Leslie brought in the concept of demonology in UFOs in the 60s. And you know Desmond's work, one of the great English authors and researchers on UFOs. He brought in demonology to try and explain contactees because they shared similar experiences, similar ways of looking at things, similar changelings, which is another subject we'll head away from at the moment. As we go back through centuries, I just wanted to read you another one from another quick source. Bear with me. I've got so many things open at the moment.
Well, we've got a few questions after that, if that's all right, George.
Yeah, you can ask some questions now.
All right. Well, they're for both of you anyway, so.
Okay.
Should we do a couple of questions and we'll jump back on that?
Yeah.
Okay, Deb, you ready to answer them?
I'm all primed.
What does
Good girl.
George and Earl know about the Outback UFO crash, Deborah?
How do I know what Earl and George think of the Outback UFO crash? Let's ask them.
Go on. Who wants to
I
go
don't know about the Outback UFO crash. I mean, there's a lot of UFO crashes. Why do they crash so often?
Yeah,
I mean,
this
I
is
have a
it.
theory for you, but I'm not
was-
sure that I know about that. Do you know, George?
I can't recall it as much. So it might have only been a byline somewhere. It's still probably going to be in my database, but I can't recall it. I normally remember crashes. One of my favorite crashes was in, I think it was 1967, at East Coast, US, Pennsylvania, where a UFO went through a billboard.
Oh,
They
wow.
were learner driver.
Yeah.
Well,
I
what
was
did you
saying,
do?
did it have
One
L
of the-
plates in it?
One of the most common phenomena especially in Bigfoot. And then sometimes with just monsters and humanoids, with or without UFOs, is the look of surprise from the occupant or the UFO and the look of surprise of the observer, as if both have suddenly met each other for the first time. Imagine you're charging through the quasar vacuum. Sorry, I shouldn't use those language. You're charging through the wormhole, and you're out. And next second, oh shit, there's a billboard, or there's another car, or a UFO, or the Earth. Yes, learn the drivers.
Yeah.
Yes, in a way, our entire multiverse created just up here. That's
Well, our
another
visitors
theory.
seem to have a flair for not only the absurd but the dramatic.
The Loki syndrome, LOKI. That's the explanation that was brought up. The cosmic trickster. Or,
Yeah.
I
There's
remember a book
trickster
called
element.
The Goblin Universe.
Absolutely.
You remember The Goblin Universe? It
I'm
was
not-
a book published in the early 70s
Mm.
about how everything is basically run by goblins and elves. And they're
Well,
tricking
yeah, the
people, and they're trying to
Jacques
fool people.
Vallet's Magonia book.
Yeah,
you
that's
know, I mean,
Magonia in the
I love
beginning.
Magonia. I love that book. I mean, I have a signed copy in the bookshelf over there.
You're lucky I've got an old copy in my library.
Oh,
Have you seen the English government?
hmm?
Have you seen the English government, goblins and elves?
No,
Ah.
I regard goblins and elves as being more intelligent.
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
I was
makes sense.
horrified.
I mean, this
to watch the
phenomena
news.
is nothing new, and that's what kind of drives me crazy about the way that officialdom has been trying to rebrand it. Instead of calling it UFO, it's UAP, and they're acting like this is something that's just a surprise to them that they were never aware of before, as though because they don't want to have to deal with stuff like Roswell, etc. But very well.
How
that
many
they've been-
crashes were at Roswell? I did a broad podcast on
Couple.
1947 for the 75th anniversary of this year. It ended up being 3 podcasts,
Hmm.
a total of 3.5 hours.
Hmm.
I don't charge for podcasts. I just like releasing them for people who haven't got the time to read.
Yeah.
And I counted 6 crashes around Roswell in 47. Some in
Wow.
Norway. They're all in my books.
Hmm.
Do you think
I
there
just
was-
collect the data.
Do you think they were done on purpose?
The crashes? No, they were too damaged. They were just stuffed up.
No, do you think they were?
What if they're? What
Or
if
they
they're?
could have been shot down.
They were
So-
deliberately.
I think
I
that
can't.
Perhaps it's deliberate and maybe I mean it's that trickster thing.
Yeah.
And also I wonder if now if I were an intelligent creature from another dimension, other planet or star system or what have you, I don't know that I would want to go to a violent place like Earth, where the air itself may be toxic to me, and so what you do is you would find out what the people look like, what the intelligent life on that planet is, and you would get the DNA, and you create a simulacrum, or you would create maybe a biological robot with a that's expendable. Now, if you think of the movie Avatar, you would be what if you were able to go and be that enjoying yourself to that simulacrum. You do your job and then you're all done. It's a tool that you've finished using. You may as well crash it. Let's see how it's fun to watch the humans run away and scream and wave their hands in the air.
Yes, whose power play is playing whose power play?
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
it
If
makes
there's a power
sense.
play involved.
It makes
Yeah.
sense for them to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Like you
That's
said,
what I'd do if I had the ability.
A type of being, whether it's biological or android or whatever it
Or a
may,
hologram.
Mm-hmm.
then you get all these humans going in. Obviously, they're going to be observing from wherever they are as to what's going on. And it's like, right, like you said, find out how intelligent they are, see what they do, see what they come up with what we've sent down to them.
Yeah.
You don't rush at the monkeys; it'll scare them.
Well, well,
I don't know. I think they
70
tend
years
to like to
later-
scare and spook and you know,
Speaking of
it's just
spooking and scaring.
70 years later, you
Another
still
one
ain't
of
got
my
a clue.
podcasts, which was 4 hours, it was devoted to 1897. Now, you'd know this one, Earl. You weren't
Mhm.
there, I understand. I'm not sure
No.
about Andy. But
maybe
Deb, of
in
course
another
not, no.
life I could have been, but
The beautiful thing about the 1897 Great Airship Flap that occurred in North America started on the West Coast in November. October, November, it started on the West Coast. It gradually headed to the Midwest. By April 1897, then it started heading south to Texas by June, and then it was gone. Witnessed
I
by
love that.
tens of thousands of people.
Mhm.
Witnessed by tens of thousands of people, lovely newspaper headlines, magnificent observations of large balloon-shaped craft, Zeppelin-shaped craft,
Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah.
Remember, they weren't created till 1905,
Yeah.
so these aren't ours, apparently.
Yeah.
The beautiful thing or weird thing about this and the other phenomenal events that kept occurring in the future is they appeared to be creations from imagination of what could be about to be created.
Yeah.
They're always that next step along, like the Buzz Gore and what's his name? Well, one of the stupid rocketeers in the 30s.
Oh.
The rockets were more advanced.
Robert
and they appeared in
Goddard or
No, I meant in the
Goddard?
Flash Gordon.
Oh, Flash Gordon. We're
Yeah.
talking fictional.
Comics
Right.
reflect our brain.
Yes. Yeah.
Love that film.
And
Anyway,
It seems like they appear to us like maybe just a
slightly
generation ahead of
yes,
where we're at.
and they do it all the time, even with our
Yes.
triangular ones now, and God knows what
Yes.
theories we're creating.
Mhm.
Yeah.
These things, if you're trying to
We
build
see a
them,
lot of plasma UFOs nowadays, you
Yeah.
know,
Maybe
where
the
they're
focus
pure
is
energy.
wrong. yeah,
I've
or they got the
seen
same
plasma
camera
one.
they used for Bigfoot. Quick, put the phasometer on.
Yeah,
Somebody's-
exactly. They put on the
somebody's
blur
looking at
lens
us.
now.
Yeah, the blur lens now.
Yeah.
These things couldn't fly if they tried. They were
Mhm.
described as huge propellers, front and back. Which
Yeah.
direction
I
does the
love
effing
it.
thing go?
Yeah.
Mm.
They crashed too. Lots of them crashed. And others landed. One left a bucket of Canadian dollars to pay for some milk and newspapers.
Didn't they abduct a cow? One
They
abducted a cow.
did a few cows.
Yeah.
Several of them landed and said they came from some small town in Iowa and they were going to Cuba to fight the Spanish. 5 times different craft said that to people.
Wow.
But if you looked at the town then, and I've got atlases you can poke a stick at. If you look at that town there, they had 4,000 people in it. Where the hell do you hide a hangar for something 140 feet long?
Yeah.
You know, somebody might notice. I mean, I live in a small town. If I thought of doing something, the neighbours would already be talking about it. And of course, in your little villages, forget it. The neighbours knew it before you even thought about it. It's one step ahead. It's always one step ahead with you. And I can't remember the rest. It was a great song. Well before your time, Deb. It is is it a stimulation to our brains to start adapting in some way? That's what I like about these interviews. We think.
Yeah.
Wake up, Andy. We think.
Sorry.
Now, he was taking it in deeply. It was good to see. You know,
He was pensive.
That look of intense beatification.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it was asleep.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
believe
think that they're engaging us. They're trying to. I think that they're trying to build a fire under us to, you know, inspire us to keep on moving ahead. And
putting the more
but also there's
ahead of us.
There's always that absurdity there too. And but you know, now if they, I mean, I see our visitors more like space gods. I don't think they're astronauts from other planets that are just a little ahead of where we are. That's rubbish.
Yeah.
But you know, I mean, the officialdom is having trouble. They're afraid of how the public is going to react. Just telling us that we have astronauts from other planets that are visiting us. So they're certainly not going to come out and say, well, these guys are so beyond us that you would consider them gods. You know, they're just not going to go there. It's too uncomfortable of a
It's too
idea.
politically uncomfortable.
Yeah, it
So
sure
we
is.
destroyed a military power base.
Mm-hmm.
But what do they actually think?
Religions
We've got
be
4 people
trashed.
here. If they told you they came from outer space and they've got huge powers, what would your reaction be?
Mm-hmm.
They haven't done anything yet. What have they done? If they had those
Yeah.
huge powers,
Play
why weren't
cat
they
and
here
mouse
already?
with us. That's about
Yeah.
it. They play
Yeah.
cat and mouse, and they crash. You know, they're
They
bad
crash.
drivers.
You know, we're
Crashed
part
a
of
load of
somebody's
UFOs.
Yeah.
We're
Look
some
out!
part of
It's a
somebody's
UFO. You know,
somebody's
dust covered.
Christmas gift for little on the planet somewhere. Look,
Yeah.
see what I do, what it does if I shake it.
Yeah.
Look at him run.
Yes. I love it. I love it.
We keep
I think
viewing
this
the
way too,
multiverse
George.
through our
Okay,
own
you're
mind.
not alone, and I love it. I love
You
it,
know,
and
the
I think
United States Navy shows us a picture of a Tic Tac.
Yeah.
yeah,
So what? Who cares?
yeah.
It's fuzzy. Yeah, they said, gee, look at it go. We've already lost interest in that thing already. We've
Oh,
gone again.
they lost interest in it as soon as it came out. I mean, people will ask me, when's disclosure going to come? And I say, well,
That was it.
It happened in 2017. It was on the cover, on the front page of the New York Times. And you know what? Nobody cared. Nobody
who reads the
cared.
New
They
York
wanted to, you
Times?
know, they wanted to go back to their soap opera or whatever they were doing.
Well, they wanted to go to a decent-looking UFO event. I mean, not a Tic Tac.
But
No, it
don't you
was
think-
very boring looking, you know, but,
Don't
but
you think
it was
it's
also
so-
traveling Mach 18 and making 90-degree turns without causing a sonic
people-
boom or, you know,
Yeah.
a fireball. But
Yeah.
but people didn't care. They and that it already happened. And now, I mean, who is going to disclose anyway? Nobody trusts anybody. If it's
No.
somebody from the president, then everybody in the other, you know, political party is going to say, "Oh, he's lost his marbles."
Yeah.
If it was the former president, you know, everybody in the other political party is going to say, "Oh, it's him. He's lying again." You know, and I mean, we don't have a Walter Cronkite anymore. There's no great storyteller out there that everybody's going to stop and you know listen to.
Yeah.
You've
It's
got
up
to
to
say
us,
something, Andy.
You know,
But don't you think it's all hidden in plain sight? The
Mhm.
majority of it. I'm not just talking in movies.
Mhm.
All day-to-day stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
No,
just,
I mean, I think people know. It just makes them uncomfortable, you know. I mean, I have, you know, friends that are more, you know, that think they're scientifically minded, and they'll roll their eyes at me, and you know, how do you investigate something that isn't there, you know, and you know, all kinds of quips and stuff. But
Yeah.
when it comes down to it, I think that the question, it just makes them very, very uncomfortable. They don't deal with it. They don't want to think about it.
yeah,
You know, they
You
want
reduce it-
something that they can put their
Earl,
hands around and wrap their head around. And this
Yeah.
thing, you're never going to be able to wrap your heads around
No.
it. It's
there are
it's,
two
it's
constants
too much.
to all of these events. Two constants. I've got to be careful how I put those.
Yeah.
There are two constants, time and space.
Mhm.
Once you set up a mathematical period, sorry, we cannot refute mathematical periods.
nope.
Do you think that you're going
The
to be able
observation is
to?
not the constant. The time
So,
and
do
the
you
place
think you're
is
going to
the
be
constant.
able to predict where a portal is going to wind up then with
That's
using
what this
this
is
formula?
designed for.
Yeah, that's pretty
But I'm
impressive.
not capable enough. I'm not a physicist. The
Yeah.
thing is, this has to be done graphically.
Hmm.
Because I've met physicists who've tried to decipher it all and they go stark raving mad. But
Hmm.
then again, I met a lot of people who tried to help me over the years that went stark raving mad as well. Weird how that happens.
There's a bit of a pattern on
either
that as
died
well, isn't there?
Or they've
Hmm.
broken their neck, or they have gone off and suddenly decided to do something else. It's amazing I'm still here. because bloody hell, I'm still staying here. This is too important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, if I started talking about weirdnesses that have happened in regard to myself and my research and the poor bastards who were involved with it, you wouldn't want to be in this field
We'd be next.
whatsoever.
Yeah.
No, but
Well, a
you're
lot
putting
of
yourselves in more
ufologists,
prominent positions. That's
Yeah.
it. Keep it
a
up
lot
to
of
the
people
front.
will follow windows and things like that too. You know?
That's Russian politics.
Yes,
It's a
it is
severe
Russian
case
politics.
of Russian window disease is quite deadly.
Yeah. But it seems to happen to, you know, a lot of people in ufology. They start talking a little bit too much or get too close to something and something happens to them.
Yeah.
You know, it's unfortunate. I mean, I've lost, you know, personal friends this way.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, maybe Dr. John Mack did accidentally walk in front of a car. He's not used to the traffic going the direction that it
Probably
does
confusing.
in the UK. But I don't know. He was a pretty circumspect guy, and it was kind of convenient that he, you know, dropped off of the earth at that particular moment.
Yeah.
It was convenient
Too
for
many.
whoever didn't want
When he
him
went,
there.
when he did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Albert Bender.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the list goes
How did
on, doesn't
Hynek
it?
go again? Not Hynek, the other one.
Oh,
One of the Blue Book ones.
Yeah.
Oh,
He
you're talking.
committed
Well, no,
suicide.
that's. Oh, okay. That's not Hynek.
No, it wasn't
No.
Hynek. It was
Bill
another one with
Schneider?
the same
Schneider.
rank. Oh,
Yeah.
it's in there somewhere. Hello? But let's get away from that because then we're starting to be defeated by our own concepts.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
We
too
won't want to open the
depressing.
door.
I can't think about it. You know.
The more
I mean, all
important
I can
things-
say is, if too close to the truth, and I'm saying something that you guys don't want me to say, don't kill me. Just let me know, and I'll zip. You know,
Sure.
I like
that
blasting
part
the
up.
truth.
You
But
know.
was it? Sorry,
Yeah.
what Earl? Was it when Paul Hynek was on when he said, "If you get too close to the truth, you know where that line is"? Was
I
that
don't know where the
Paul?
line is.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't been asked to sign any, you know, non-disclosure agreements so far. I mean, I've
No.
had people from the DOD and stuff talk with me and even supposedly read from my mom's file, you know,
Yeah.
because my mom was part of officialdom. And so far so good. I haven't been threatened. I haven't had the guys in black suits show up at my door or anything like that. But anyway.
Yeah. Right, I'm just looking because I'm sure it is when Paul was on. He said, "Well, you know, with when you receive like people's stories and evidence in that, you know what to put out and what not to put out."
Mm.
Oh no,
you know,
sorry, no, it wasn't Paul. It was Vic Cundiff.
oh, okay,
Who
that
does the
was a
Godman stuff.
different show from
Yeah,
the one I
sorry.
was on.
And
That's
what it
okay.
was just the principle of what he was saying. The evidence that he's received, videos and photos and all that, and the stories that he's got, he could put them out there, but he chooses not to because one, would people really believe it's genuine and it's not CGI and it's all been made up? And two, is it too close to the truth? And therefore, it's going to have severe consequences, not just on him, but on the people that are having these encounters and stuff happening to them. So you get to a point, I suppose, when you've been doing it for so long, you know where to stop, where not to cross that line, because that's when
I don't.
they make themselves.
I don't
I've
believe
had
it's not.
one situation, one time where I was kind of told by somebody who I know is connected to the Pentagon that I should keep some a particular thing to myself, and I actually chose to do that because it would have harmed somebody. It would have caused their life to become a ruckus and a mess, and they wouldn't have been able to live the good life that they enjoy living. So that wasn't difficult for me, and I would have made that choice myself. I didn't even need that little caveat that apparently I was given.
I'm lucky. I'm a crackpot in Australia. Almost totally unknown.
Well, I'm a crackpot in the U.S. too. There are people that, you know, some of my friends that are just normie friends that I've known for years.
The normal one.
Will we'll roll our eyes and and that's okay. They know I'm not crazy. Okay, they know that I'm not, but I guess they think that that's some kind of a glitch in my personality or something.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know. But aliens took over. They took me over, because I'm obsessive about it, and that's
So
I do it full
I get
time now.
told now when we go to parties and that, it's like, Andy, don't talk about ghost hunting. Don't talk about
Don't talk about the war.
Well, I've got nothing else to
Don't mention
tell
it.
you.
Hey,
Everything
look,
else,
I
I'm
go
just-
to my
just gonna
doctor
make
for
it
my
up.
annual physical, and all he wants to do is talk about UFOs. Okay,
Yeah.
so UFOs are a cool subject now. I
Oh.
mean, people like to talk about them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I went,
It's
sorry.
better than it was.
yeah, when I went to have my hernia repair, I went going into the operating theatre, and he was going to put the drip in my left arm, and he goes, "Oh no, I can't ruin that because of the tattoos that I've got."
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So he goes, "I'll put it in the other app," and just ended up talking about that for 10 minutes. And then both of them subscribed to my YouTube channel.
Wow, there you go.
Subscribe to this channel. But he was like, I didn't think I was going to be talking about that 10 minutes before I was going under. Very weird stuff. So,
How that's fun. I like that story. Yeah.
This is going rollicking well.
Jeez.
yeah, it's like, it's just, that's one of the weirdest things that's ever happened to me. So,
Yeah.
Amongst many.
Right.
there's a lot. There's a lot.
Let's have a break, and then we'll come back to some more questions.
Sure.
Break time.
It's a fact.
Okay.
Yeah, it's an hour. We've done an
Just
hour.
getting into
Good
it.
idea.
For a commercial message from our sponsor.
Yeah.
Please,
I
Guru,
mean-
use Beetlejuice cornflakes. They're really yummy and made out of fresh cockroaches.
Yeah, can you do that for
He does that really well. Oh my
That
god.
was too good.
Accent.
I love it.
Right, gonna go for a break before I completely
Fare thee
lose it
well.
and
See-
forget what
See
I'm
you
doing.
soon for the next exciting episode.
Mhm.
Yes. Do tune in.
Right, see you in 5 minutes, guys.
You will.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
And we are back. So I'm just unmuting everyone. It's hard work, Liz.
Hello.
We're back.
And
Yes,
we're
indeed.
back.
I'm not even going to attempt an Australian accent. I'll wind up sounding like Dick Van Dyke and Mary Poppins.
Oh God,
That's
no!
fine.
Don't even go
That was
there.
Oh,
the
no.
worst.
Go on,
It
do
was
it.
the worst Scouse accent ever attempted, you know. But I'll
Come on.
sound worse. I can't do accents.
No, I can't even do the accent of where I lived for 35 years, where I was
No.
born and bred.
You're doing it now.
No, but it's not the full accent.
What are you
Hmm.
saying there, Andy? You can't speak English anymore.
What was that?
Don't know.
Well,
I
no,
don't
I
know
have
You
either.
guys,
a couple
you guys,
friends who moved
you-
to southern states and they came back after a couple of years sounding like this, you know.
Oh,
and
no.
talk. It's like, my God, where did that come from? You were
Well,
born
there's
in
a guy-
California, you know. But
There's a
it
guy
happens
from
like this,
Scotland.
osmotically.
Yeah. There's a
People
guy
kind of-
from Scotland who moved down just outside London.
Mm.
Now, to me, he sounds Scottish, but when he goes back home, none of his friends or family can tell that he's got a Scottish accent.
Wow.
I'm like, I don't even know what's going on. It doesn't.
No, I
I
have
just
to listen
couldn't-
carefully if
I
it's a
couldn't
Scot.
work it out.
Yeah, I have to be, because that's kind of hard to, you know, if they start talking really quickly. I once you get used to it and you kind of get in the groove of it, it's
Yeah.
easy. But
Yeah.
I have to say that's a thick accent. You know, the
Oh,
brogue. Yeah.
As long as I can see the mouth moving, like I'm looking at you now, because I can lip read a little bit, so it makes it a lot easier when you're trying to, I suppose, decipher an accent. But if you're talking on the phone to someone and you can't see them, I think it's so much more difficult a lot of the time to work out what they're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm not being
telepaths
rude.
now with telepathy, you know, I've never noticed
don't
a
need that,
person
do
had
ya?
an accent. I mean, I've been doing a little telepathic experiment with a friend of mine who's a known telepath. He's very, very good at it.
Yeah.
And I believe I've gotten, you know, I've had some communication with a couple of people that have thick accents, but I don't pick the accent up in the telepathic communication so far. Anyway, I found that kind of interesting. It's like, you don't have an accent when you do this. So it must just be a language thing, you know. It's
Quick question for you.
sure.
Does the voice in your head have an accent?
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
No.
No,
Is
it
it
hasn't
male or
happened yet.
female? Or is
Yeah,
it
that
like
I
non-gender?
can usually tell the gender, but I've never noticed an accent. If this is actually working, and I think it is,
Yeah.
you know, we are sending, my friend and I are sending distinct images to each other, right?
Oh, right. Okay.
And then we'll write it down before we do it, and we give the person so long, and then I'll start saying what I think that, you know, he sent. It was a picture of a hot rod, but it was like a 1950s hot rod that he sent mentally, and I said, you know, a fast car, a hot rod, but I kept going and I messed it up. I said like blue chromed rims is like no. You got the first part right, but then you
got
to it.
too detailed on it.
Yeah, but
So
I
how
mean, what
long
are
have
the
you-
chances that I'm gonna, you know?
Well, yeah. So how long
just-
have you been doing that?
About just a couple weeks.
Oh,
We
so
just
and
restarted
it's just
it.
you two. There's nobody else.
I've been trying. Yeah. Well, this time where I've officially set the parameters, and we will, you know, contact each other, you know, text message, and are you all set? And then I'll send, and then it'll be his turn to try to send me some
So do you find it easy to tune into that?
I think I'm getting a little better at it, but but again, I think that my biggest frustration so far is that I get the image, but then I start adding to it or embellishing it, and I have to learn to stop doing that.
Over eager.
As long as I just pick up that image and I don't embellish on it, then
The
it seems
initial-
like
The initial image.
Stop it.
Mhm.
Stop
But
it
I mean,
now.
I'm just sort of in kindergarten with this.
Yeah.
But
I have another.
suppose-
Mhm.
Sorry, I suppose with you just starting doing it, it's exciting for you that you're getting what he's sending. So you're
Yeah.
like,
Well, so far we're getting hits, and once one time, I think I was more remote viewing than anything because I described his yard and I described a trail that was next to the yard, and there was like a kind of a hut that was there, and that wasn't what he was trying to send, but it was his immediate surroundings. So either I remote viewed where he lives, or he unintentionally sent me the image of where he lived. But it seems to be working, and it's just I've been told, that humans, that we all have the ability to be telepaths, but it's just latent and we're not using it. And the one friend of mine who's very, very good at telepathy and has done work for officialdom and the FBI, has solved cases and things. She said that one good way to do it is to highway telepathy. Instead of yelling at the guy that's driving too slow or that's driving badly, first you have to get in mind frame where you can say it kindly, right? Because they'll pick up on the emotion before they pick up on anything. And so they'll just pick up on anger and think it's their own, and they'll drive even worse.
Could you please drive off the road?
Yeah. Could you please drive off
that? I said that today more than once.
But it seems to work, people just move their car over, and I'm not yelling, shaking my
fist. It's the positive energy that's doing it. But because I remember you saying that once before, Earl, about not yelling at them, not getting the road rage, just be nice and polite. Be nice and polite, and your day will go so much smoother.
Yes.
Yeah, but what's the fun of it?
Well,
my wife loves to yell at the guy in front of us.
You know what my wife says?
That she loves to do,
I start yelling, she says, "Stop being goofy." If we all remember a Goofy cartoon from years ago of Goofy going on the road and the ears are up.
Sure, Disney, right? Yeah.
I found that UFO crash in Australia.
I want to hear about
talking. Yeah, because I had to manually search Australia through my system. It's not. I didn't design it to be that searchable. It is to a degree.
I'm going to change the layout if I can.
Big airplane overhead. I don't know if you can hear that.
There we go.
Oh.
I'll put me there so can I be on the image.
Welcome back, children. Today's story time.
George's story time.
1955.
George Seuss.
He's been banned now, I'm sorry.
Who was it?
Too much cat in the hat. He's picking shrooms out of him. Okay, listen up, kiddies, and no snorting. Simpkins, stop it.
Well, that's
Simpkins. He gets it all the time. It's your side of the body family. In 1955, in Eucla, in Western Australia, the newspaper, the Daily Telegraph, would never lie, based in Sydney, on August 2nd, 1955, published a story, almost forgotten, about three men, Max Clow, 23, Alex Rose, 29, and Peter Johnson, 25, who claimed to have witnessed the crash of a craft of unknown origin and encountered its occupant. That's almost Scott saying it like that. It provides the newspaper story. Three young men returned to Melbourne with a picture of what they said was a flying saucer pilot. One of them took the photograph about 14 miles from Eucla, and Eucla is in the middle of absolute nowhere on the South Australian border. This is the story that Max Clow, 23, Alex Rose, 29, and Peter Johnson, 25, told. They were driving through flat country covered by scrub and tall trees when they heard what they thought was a blowout and stopped to look at the tyres. Then Johnson pointed out a shiny object falling to the ground about 3 miles away. After an hour's search, they found jagged pieces of shining metal and then saw a moving figure 50 yards away. They went closer and watched the figure for about 25 minutes. Klaus said it was like a frog from the back and a semi-human from the front, with a green cloak hanging to just above its knees. The two curved horns on each side of its head gave it a devilish appearance. Its feet and hands were armor-plated, and to make it worse, it was wriggling and swaying like a fish out of water.
Ooh.
Rose then plucked up his courage, moved nearer, and took photographs. Then, to our amazement, it began to disintegrate before our eyes, said Clow. Haven't we met this before? Or is this sloppy note-taking in my notes? So I've obviously referred to it before.
Ooh.
The problem with my notes is they will have every item in it, which annoys some people. But if you want to do research, you need every data item in the thing, the names, the addresses, everything, as much as you can glean from it. But this is the Australian one.
I like it.
Somewhere. It was it. It's good. I like the frog-like one. But you know what I really like, and you've met it before, Earl? It was in a different gravity. Who's to say when we do this interlocking of dimensions, that when something's falling through from one gravitational system to another one, it's like a ball put into a bucket of water because their gravity is thicker or different.
Question.
And there's so many, yes.
Quick question. Do you think they can control the gravity of the atmosphere that they're in?
I believe
When
they
I
can,
say
because
they,
the only way to get out.
It's
I think they can do whatever they damn well please. Tell you the truth.
Yeah,
Mind you,
they've got their own rules.
They still crash into things like us, but that's normal.
Yeah.
Well,
Happens every day.
They seem
especially
to
learners.
revel in it. There's so many UFO crashes. There's and just, you know, when you think of, I mean, it's not like this is the grand central station of the universe.
No, it's a side trip.
But I think perhaps they crash them to just watch the silly humans run around with their, you know, like chickens with their heads cut
I
off,
think
waving their hands, you know.
I really believe that now, thinking about it, because I've never thought about that before until you guys were saying, and then everything started to like tick over.
I
and make
reckon.
sense. So I think sorry, George.
No, you continue, Andy.
I'll be quick. I really do believe that a lot of these, I'm not saying all of them, but a lot of these crashes are intentional, and it's to see what response and what reaction is given, and also if any reports go out.
It's also a way to perhaps introduce new technology and materials to us that otherwise
to give without giving.
Yeah.
Okay.
An indirect way of you can have that, backward engineer it, see what you can get from it.
But they could just as easily just land it like a feather and walk away and say, "Here, a gift," you know. But no, they seem to
like get in it and fly off and never be seen again.
People will just say it was done by CGI and it's not real. So.
Yeah. Well,
Question.
that's the future, and it's going to be even more difficult to be, you know, doing this ufology thing because just with the AI animations that they're getting and stuff now, it's going to be impossible to tell what was real and what wasn't. I mean, I always look for the EXIF in a photo, a digital photo, and you can look for the EXIF data in a video too now. But I don't know. I mean, it's just getting very, very hard to
patterns to time and place are the only way you'll be able to identify satisfactorily. Everything else will be refuted by every man his dog. Question. This is one of my major things I put in my books. Surreptitiously through things, because I don't just write great masses of questions and statements. I like them to filter through. What is the best disguise to have?
Mickey Mouse.
So you can go, well, you might as well. Something that will everyone else, when you discuss the report, will think you've been drinking, or you're stoned, or you're making it up. It's something absurd.
Yeah.
So
This protective system we talked about before, where the human brain is quick. I've got to make this look like something I can believe in before I just run around with tentacles running out of my head. That is,
Yeah.
but
I
what
like
do you,
it.
but do you think that they could be using hologram or holographic material
No, they're
or
using
technology?
the
They're
witness,
using the brain itself. I
the
see.
brain of the witness to create
Yeah.
the perfect camouflage. Devout
But-
Catholics, look, it's a Virgin Mary in a tree.
Yeah.
Trees or grottos, for God's sake.
You've
Why
seen
aren't
it
they
as
on
well.
the corner of Battle Street and Rye Boulevard? No,
But
it's some
when-
crappy tree in the middle of nowhere. Or a hunter. Oh, look, it's a...
But going back
in the
to what you were
bushes.
saying, but going back to that Zimbabwe
Yes.
of them 40 kids,
The Arielton.
they are seeing some, well, not all of them, but a lot of them seeing something different. So how can different things be projected to different people that are in the
The
same
observer
area
Mind.
is
at
creating
the
the
same
image.
time? So
The
they're
witness-
projecting that into the human's
No,
brain.
no. The human brain is sending that image to them.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they're creating that image.
So they're
Mhm.
reading what
Yeah,
they
they're
wanna
reading.
see.
They are
Right.
creating that perfect thing. Or let's say it's a co-production.
Yeah, well, that's
Both
my
are
friend
creating
Greg
it.
Bishop. He's
Both are
written
creating it.
a few books, and that's Greg's thing is co-creation. That what happens is that we are part of dance or whatever interaction that allows the UFO to
Cosmic soap
manifest.
opera. It's
So,
been
and
going on for millennia.
yeah, that's Greg's point of view as well, and I mean, and it kind of fits. I mean, I again, I love Jacques Vallée's way of seeing things, and it kind of fits his whole Magonia concept. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense to me, Yeah, but they're taking the real that you have here, and I think maybe it even comes down to speech and what words with telepathy. I think that that they're using the words that I know. And
So they're literally getting inside.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That
So what-
whatever I have in there, that's the resource that they're able to use.
So what do you
it's-
think their true identity is? Do you think they have one?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's not like a personality-less thing. I mean, we're dealing with we're dealing with intelligences.
Yeah, I was going to
that are
say, so
just,
it's not like a flip chart where they can pick and choose whatever they want to be, and then that's it, and they just go.
no,
from there.
I mean, when we talk about this stuff that's this wild and this out there, I mean, I'm trying to wrap my own head around it, and this is the best been able to come up with it,
Well, it's like
to where it still makes sense. But I could be wrong. But it's sort of a favored theory that I kind of walk around with.
Yeah. Well, it's like Space Cadet just put a formless like body. So orbs, is it orb like the ball of energy? Is that what they are?
I think that eventually an intelligence is going to become pure energy. If you can do that, that is what.
If you have that ability to.
That's what.
And that power.
Evolution will eventually lead you to.
So then they can become anything that they want to be.
Yeah, I think so. I think they can take whatever form they want.
Yeah. So
do you think a great ride? Come back as something and
so if they're
enjoy the day.
Yeah, if like you said, they're this formless light body, then that's how they can travel through time and space without having to use.
I don't think they need a starship. I don't think the UFOs that we see. It's not like we see. Cabins and kitchen utensils and restrooms.
Do you think that do you think that then might be a front, these crafts that we see?
Perhaps it might be just a work form. I mean, I've heard this from a few people that have had contact where they'll talk about a ship, and the entity will tell them that's the wrong word for it.
Yeah.
So
But
I
then
think
I
perhaps
suppose-
it's a working platform. It's
Yeah.
a stage that they set to
Yeah.
where, and it's a signal to us that yes, we're not from here. But that's kind of the obvious way to bring that concept to us in the moment,
Yeah.
And they're
along with
also
all the
saying,
ontological shock and everything
Yeah.
else that comes along
and
with
we're
it.
also saying, we're also showing you this magnificent craft that's sitting here on 3, 5, or 7 legs, or hovering, that we are more advanced than you.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the
then
fact that they
it's a
don't have
signal.
kitchens and bedrooms is because there is no time between wormholes.
Yeah. Okay.
They don't
Yeah.
need it.
It's an
They don't
empty
need any of
void,
it.
isn't it?
That's
Mhm.
why one of the big problems I always looked at with ufology, I look at economics. It's the same way I look at the pyramids. If the population aren't going to build it and the economy of the country can't support it, it's not going to be created.
Yeah.
We look at the different designs of UFOs over the generations now. They go back to 1600. A bear in the ship,
Well,
a bear in the wheel. A beautiful description. They're all different.
But do you think
They're all
then?
custom. Yet, if they were interstellar craft coming from 4.6 years or 200 light years away, no civilization has the economic facility or reason to spend that much money on 8,000 designs of something to come here.
Yeah, exactly. We're the hinterlands, with this little backwater planet,
We're a side trip off a
the
secondary freeway.
mysterious arm of one galaxy among hundreds of billions of galaxies. Why would they come here? I agree. Yeah.
But if
Paul
they go
Hynek,
for the
he thinks that way
vacuum,
too, as well.
if they go for the quasar vacuum, which is immediate, they can be any bloody shape they want to be, from fairy castles to dirigibles.
Yeah.
Oh, did I say
I
that?
agree. Yeah, we were on the same
Then-
page, Joy. That's fun because I don't bump into a lot of people that think that way, but I do. I think
It's
that
the only way.
they can go into any shape that they damn well please to show themselves in. If they wanted to show up as a mermaid or Cthulhu or whatever, they could do that. I
Yeah.
mean, it's for our benefit.
can do
If
with
they're
that
formless
Cthulhu,
light
thank you.
bodies, they don't have to be anything.
But do you think the craft then is a workstation? So then, when
I think it's a
we're
stage.
abducted-
It's something that they set. It's
so when
it's
we're
a performance.
abducted and are taken, or whatever you want to call it, they've got to be taken somewhere to have the, for want of a better word, probing done.
Yeah, but that could still be there.
But
Yeah.
it's got to be in a
move-
physical state, hasn't
Move
it?
1 second in time and space, Andy, and you can be in the same spot, totally invisible and unfeelable,
Yeah.
because you are
Yeah.
a different
Completely
dimension.
get that.
So you haven't gone anywhere.
Yes.
No.
I agree. Yeah.
You're just not approachable or sensate. Sensate is a lovely
Yeah.
word to anything in this dimension, but you're still there.
Mm-hmm.
But for the observer, this is how I'm visualizing this. In the 1897 reports and 1896 reports, some people were taken on free flights and shown the Westinghouse steam engine. Excuse me?
Yeah.
Westinghouse steam engine. That's what's written on the side of the turbine. That's the secret. That's what flew it.
Wow. Oh my God.
Excuse me? Earlier before. And let's talk about time dilation for a second. We'll dilate it the other way. People are going to fairy mounds, and 20 years later, Herbert's back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Herbert's grown a bit of a beard, but Herbert was only there eating with him for one day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Time
That's in
dilation.
every single culture. They have those stories.
Yeah,
I love this concept of going into the underworld, and what's like 2-3 years for them, they come back and there's nobody there that was there before. It's like 150 years have passed.
I mean, you can do that if you travel close to the speed of light. You can come back and meet your great grandchildren.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
time is malleable, even in a physical way that we can understand, grasp,
Go
and
through a
even possibly
wormhole, it's
do.
faster.
Yeah, I think a wormhole is faster too. Far preferable.
Right,
Far
I'm going to
preferable.
ask this. Can I ask this stupid question of the night? But
If it hasn't
I'm
been-
being
if-
genuine.
If you don't know the answer, it's not stupid.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know that. Do you think ETs or aliens or what, like starlight people, whatever you want to call them, do you think they use money in the
Money?
same way that we do?
No,
They have a monetary system.
I don't think
They would
they.
still have to have an economic system, otherwise everything would be totally egalitarian. And no system of animals will ever be egalitarian. There'll always be a leading system and a following system.
Hmm.
and
But
an
do you think that
in-between
that's
system.
why they come here and take things?
Hmm.
That could
No,
that
they'd
be a
come here
reason
for
that
their
they don't have
souvenirs.
that?
I think
You go to-
I don't know. I
You
don't
go
know
to
about
Brighton, Andy. Go to Brighton. Imagine you go to Brighton for the day.
I went
What
last
sort of-
week. I ain't
What sort,
going
of
again.
what sort of crap do you bring back?
Rock, stones, sand.
Sand in your shoes,
Yeah.
empty wallet.
I was going to say that was the first thing you brought
So you're
back.
bringing things back.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
just
yeah,
a nice
yeah,
little
yeah.
side trip on what is it? Travel it or Trove it or not Trove it. One of those travel
TripAdvisor.
sites. You know,
TripAdvisor.
50 credits a TripAdvisor from
Yeah.
I
to go to.
I get TripAdvisor at the local supermarket.
How do you
I don't
spell
get
that, George?
X, Y,
What
N,
is
Z,
it?
Z, C, H, K, H.
Yeah.
No, you were speaking with a American dialect.
But do you think that they have some sort of monetary system?
I
Going
don't
on?
know. I've
need
never
money.
thought of it, to tell you the truth. I mean,
They'd
we
have
hear.
to have a system of reward and punishment. Everything does.
Yeah. Okay. So.
Because something will always try and break the rules, and something will try and exceed the rules.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
they have
what
to
I'm
keep
told-
some form of control and gifts and
Hmm.
the ability to use them to purchase. All our money is a shortcut to get something.
Yeah.
We don't have to carry around 9 pigs.
But
Or a
if you go
yak.
back, if you go back to like, I suppose Bronze Age or whatever, you had trading going on
Yeah.
and so on.
Sentient beings always trade to get what they want.
Who
I
would
want
you
that
trade
thing
with,
from that planet.
Yeah.
They want what I've
I'll
got on
give
my
you this
planet. That's
Bigfoot
trading.
if we can take a couple of cows and a human.
Oh,
I don't know.
They may
Well,
be like
cow
burgers. I
taking
mean,
is quite often.
I
I've
hope
often
it's not
found
human
A
burgers.
lot of
but
they like dogs.
Human
not out
burger.
of the quest.
A lot of them like dog.
Is it?
Dog's very popular on the intergalactic menu. I call it the intergalactic butcher shop. We've
Right,
been to grab
no,
some
not
cows.
like
Cats.
They like grabbing dogs.
Northampton. Go to a
I've
burger
never-
van.
I've never
Yeah.
heard of a cat being taken, but lots of dogs have been taken or killed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jeez.
It's
And
quite
of
famous
course, Snippy
cases
the
in late
horse.
60s.
That's
And
Is it
Snippy the
because
horse.
cats
His
are
actual
assholes?
name was not Snippy.
Right, I
Snippy's
know.
real name was.
that's the one that I remember, though. But I know
Snippy-
it's inaccurate.
Snippy was the most famous because it was the first major production. Snippy, the horse was found. Other sources state that Snippy was actually Lady. I'll read you the
Oh,
quick
that's
story
right,
if you don't mind.
lady.
Near Alamosa,
Snippy is
in
just
Alamosa-
easier to remember, and plus they
Yeah.
kind of snip,
Yeah.
the poor animal.
Okay, story time
Yeah.
again, children.
Yes.
If you're a vegan or vegetarian, please do not listen.
Look away now.
We can't. Look away now, kiddies.
Go
Look,
and have a
there's a
burger or
puppy.
something.
Near Alamosa, in Alamosa
You'll have a
County,
Big Mac.
Colorado, on Wednesday, 13th September 1967, Snippy the horse was found with the flesh completely stripped from its head and neck, and the vital organs were also missing. There were also 15 circular exhaust marks found on the ground, covering an area of 100 by 50 yards. The Chico bush was flattened, and near it were 6 identical holes, 2 inches wide by 4 inches deep. Individual witnesses had seen a strange object in the sky at rooftop level on the day the horse had disappeared, and later there was a high radiation count in the area where the horse was found. Looks like the menu was getting exotic now. When were they going to add long pig to the menu, or had they already? Quite a varied menu, it seems. If you're not sure what long pig is, just look in the mirror and view this formerly Polynesian delicacy. Other sources state that Snippy was actually called Lady.
Yes.
That's Snippy the horse.
To serve man
Snippy
is
was
the
called
long pork or whatever they call it.
Yeah.
Yes, it's
Twilight
just a
Zone
long pig.
episode. Yeah.
Long pig.
Yeah. Long pig.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Need a big oven.
Yeah, I'd definitely go veggie if that was the only choice on the menu.
Yeah,
I don't know. There's plenty of flesh on Andy.
That's grisly.
Removed from
I
stream.
can't talk either.
You're feeling a little peckish, huh?
Hey.
Right, we've
Monty
got some more
Python sketch.
questions.
Yes.
Are we ready?
Sure.
Right, this is from Blue Shift for both of you. You have 1 hour free use of an avatar where you would go. Where would you go? Includes off-planet and invisible cloak if needed.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Oh.
I haven't finished exploring this one.
I know,
Well,
yeah.
there is that.
Yeah, I mean, do I have to go to another planet? I would,
Anywhere
Yeah, I
I
think
would
that's
want
the
to go.
That's the assumption of the questioner. It does include the codicil that you go to another planet.
Yeah.
Okay.
It doesn't say other planet optional.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Well, gee,
And
I'd
you
like
could
to
be
see if all the
invisible.
crap
I'm not
they
sure.
write
I mean,
about-
I'm thinking I would want to go like watch the Beatles play at the Cavern Club or something.
Yeah.
That's what I would want to do. So,
Yeah.
but you wouldn't need necessarily need an invisibility cloak or anything to do that. I mean, everything I would want to do is on this planet. I would want to go to the Blue Room over at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base that
Yes.
Barry Goldwater wanted to go to, and he was told, curiosity is not need to know. I never want to hear you ask that ever again. And that was Barry Goldwater, who was running for president.
Yeah.
So I don't think I'm going to be let into the Blue Room if it still exists, but or else I would want to go to the underground base my mom worked in. I want in a little city under the desert. And I guess go back in time. I would want to see because I still don't really. I've been hinted to about what my mom was doing. And some of the hints are pretty. I don't even know if I believe them or not. They've been pure disinformation, even though it was coming from a guy from the DOD, because they do that sometimes if it's convenient and to mislead you. But maybe he was being true about my mom. But I'd like to know, where that. The little city under the desert was. I would like to know exactly what they were doing, what Hughes aircraft, why they were involved in such a thing, and that's where I would go. So I guess I would need an invisibility cloak to do that.
Oh, yeah.
Now, my mom told me while she was still alive, she said, well, I'll tell you, because I kept trying to get more info out of her. And she kind of gave me one big old disclosure number after we went to see the movie Star Wars, and then it shut off. She wouldn't talk about it, and she'd roll her eyes, and I can't talk about that, even on her deathbed. I mean, I thought that I would get that final, well, it was here and we were doing this, but no, but she did tell me, she said, I'll tell you one thing, Earl. You were down there. And I said, what do you mean? And she said, well, I was pregnant with you when I was still working there. So technically you were in the little city under the desert, and maybe that's what's wrong with me. Maybe they tweaked my DNA.
Make it something.
Possibly.
Yeah. But that's where I would go. That's what I would want to do.
George?
How about you, George?
Oh, I think I'd have to rely on my own memory. And that is, I remember telling people for years that I was originally from the Pleiades. I've since grown out of that one, so I'd like to go to the Pleiades.
Oh,
The interesting thing about the Pleiades is, in all the mythologies, they're called the Seven Sisters.
Yes.
Aboriginal, it's the 7 women at the first circumcision. A lot of legends of the seven sisters, and one died of grief because from
There's
Earth,
only 6
naked
stars
eye, you can only see 6. The Subaru brand is the 7 sisters.
Yep.
They're on every single Subaru. The drivers are wankers, but that's just me.
That's true.
Now, you don't know this, George, but I have a song that I wrote called it's the Seventh Sister. It's
I thought you were going to say a song
of the
about Subaru.
Pleiades. So, but
I'd like to
originally
see
I
what
wrote
there
the song.
is.
I wrote the song as a boatman who's out on the water and he's looking for his lucky star, and it's disappeared overnight. Something happened to her.
Right.
And that was kind of, it didn't even really, I wasn't really trying to write a song about extraterrestrials, but now I sing the same song, and it has that other deeper meaning to me. So maybe I was channeling the future and the way, direction I was going to go, and thoughts and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'd like to go there too. That's a good idea, George. That's yeah.
I like that.
The interesting thing is, though, in one of my books, which one would you like?
540.
The blue one.
I sometimes wish A Strange Mythology, where I collated all the mythology of the ancient world in chronological order, of course.
Of course.
No, it wasn't chronological. It was geographical order. They're either chronological or they're geographical. Asperger's is good like that. You can organise things very efficiently.
He's at OCD.
You had two major contenders of where the gods came from. Pleiades, which is usually the realm of what are called the serpent gods or the technocrats.
Yeah.
So maybe they're half right with me.
Hmm.
And you got Orion. The first star on the horizon was Sirius.
Yeah.
Where the warrior gods came from. And it gets quite interesting looking at these simultaneous origin stories.
I guess as they came from both, they're there's a few different.
They came from both and they fought each other on Earth.
Okay. Yeah.
Because they're the opposition of each other.
Yeah, the Sanskrit seems to point that direction.
The War of the Gods. I wrote a book in released 1984, which is out of print at the moment. I'd be lucky to find a copy of it, called Atlan Revisited, The War of the Gods. It was my magnus opus. It was my great book. It was the everything.
Yeah.
I think I sold 500 copies, which is pretty big for a hardback in 1984. And it was about the pre-cataclysmic civilizations of the Earth before 9 to 10,000 BC, and how they had a massive war over the Atlantic and wiped themselves out. And we were left to our own devices.
Right.
And speaking of that, one book I'd put in manuscript form that went to a publisher but was never published before then. I called it Goodbye Siberian Woolly Mammoth, where I discussed the meteor impact storm for 2,000 years that hit us. And it's interesting looking at Graham Hancock's work recently. One meteorite, try hundreds.
Yeah.
My book on the great cosmic impacts, the great cataclysm and others, I've got maps in them that show the radiuses at a meteoric impacts. And where they are, where they went. That's why they're expensive books. They're full of illustrations, colored illustrations.
And I rather like Graham Hancock's new the series that he has
needs to go
about
further
the ancient what is an ancient Armageddons or something.
I like his new documentary. But as I said, he still has to continue going one step further. But I suppose my advantage is I've been looking at this stuff since the 1966. Thanks, Nicola. And and I got access to so much data in that time that all I do is I'm a data hoover.
Yeah.
If you're not English, Earl, you might not understand the concept of a hoover.
Oh, I know it's a vacuum cleaner, right? We know what a hoover.
Because here we anthropomorphize it, I think, so it becomes a hoover instead of a vacuum cleaner. So we all know.
Yeah. No, I immediately knew what you were talking about.
Yeah.
Right.
But I also collate it.
Let's cram another couple of questions in then while we're
sure.
They've been very hard so far.
Right. Can I jump to one of the? Go on. It's
Sorry,
right. I was going to skip them two and come back to them after because they're going to be shorter. Is that right, Deb?
Yeah.
Right. So this is from Space Cadet. She would like to know, for both guests, what are your favourite books on your bookshelves, please?
Sure. He's got a bunch he's written himself, so
he's not allowed to pick his own.
Well, let's see. I've got Port to Magonia right here.
Me too.
Yeah, and actually, I kept, I really have not yet met Jacques Vallée. Paul, my friend Paul Hynek is friends with Jock, and he says that if worse comes to worse, he'll put together a Zoom meeting for us so I can talk with him and pick his brain a little bit. But I love the way that Vallée thinks and sees the phenomena. He seems to his always outside of the box. Other favorite UFO butter. I mean, there's a lot. I mean, I Kathleen Marden is my mentor and friend, but started out, just reading Kathleen and the books that she had written with Stanton Friedman, of course, and I Kathleen, the direction that she's gone is very, very deep, and there's a kind of a spirituality there. And but I would have to mention my dear friend Kathleen Marden. I think that her books are fantastic. The one she wrote with Denise Stoner, it's right here.
Yeah.
The alien abduction files. Hold on, I'll even show it to you. There you go. It's very worth reading, and it just about high strangeness incidents. And that to me, that's kind of what I specialize in the field. I think UFOs are very, very interesting, but I'm more interested in the pilots. I'm more interested in the visitors themselves. I think that it's the guitarist, not the guitar, right? Same thing with
Yeah.
So yeah, and I love John Mack. Everything that John Mack ever wrote is wonderful. There you go.
Cool. Thank you.
Please buy my book once I finish it. It should be out I mean, I'm aiming for. I'm hoping that I'll have it for the symposium this year. But I've been writing a regular column for Outer Limits magazine, and I'm kind of collecting those.
It's crystallized
Chris
that.
Evans.
Oh.
Sorry. Chris Evans does Outer Limits.
Yes, Chris. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, because
so I'm kind of collecting those. I'm collecting the case reports. I mean, I got okayed by MUFON to actually publish my case reports. So the way that I'm doing the book is that it'll have a case report, just right directly from MUFON's files themselves, and then I'm going to have a personal anecdote, and I'll just intersect the chapters that way. And that way it won't get too dry and it won't get too loopy. Hopefully that'll kind of give it at least the facsimile thereof of order to it.
What order are you going to use? Because people need an order of some type in a book. Otherwise, it just becomes an everything.
Yeah,
I do chronological or geographical. So people know where to look and how to look around. You might do it order of strangeness. You might do it in something that's unique to you, but every book needs order to it.
Well, I'll probably start out with my mom's story because that's where it started for me. And I was kind of born with this. I always, one of my first memories is climbing to the top of the swing set. We had monkey bars, that my dad had built the swing set out of wood. He was quite handy, kind of a carpenter type. And so I would climb up to the top and I would wave and I would sing. And my mom was like, "Who are you waving and singing to?" And I remember telling her, I said, "The space people, Mom. I'm waving and singing to the space people." And here I am 60 years later, still doing the exact same thing,
Bastards should be waving back to you by now.
Yeah, well, I think they're kind of waving back. Yeah, no, there's seems to be some interaction there. So probably start with that, and then I'll have maybe one of my early case files at MUFON, and we'll just kind of go in that. But it'll probably will be chronological, George. I think
Yeah.
you're
That sounds
correct.
good.
Yeah.
People like
Mhm.
chronologies.
Hmm.
But then again, I like chronologies.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And I still don't know which my favourite book is.
300,000 of them.
Yeah.
Sorry, George.
Yeah. I don't know what my favourite book is. There's so many of them. There's so many books that have
you can't
inspired
choose
me
your
and got
own.
me going. No, I'm not counting them.
Oh, it's all right then. Just
We
check.
could have
No,
talked
no.
about fiction. I mean, there's I
No.
read a lot more than just UFO books.
I
In
don't
fact,
read fiction.
No, I
Oh, you
read-
don't? I like fiction.
I don't read.
No.
East of Eden by John Steinbeck to me is this a fine, wonderful novel, and it actually isn't fiction. He wrote it about his family. You
Yeah.
can find all the headstones at the old Salinas graveyard, where and I mean it's very strange having read the book and then you see all the characters there, But he did novelize it, and I guess he fancified this and that. But it's technically a true story. It's
Yeah.
very, very
Nice.
good.
Cool.
I can't
Right.
say favourites, but let's say books that inspired me.
Yeah.
Like the first
That's
book
neat.
I read as such was Mountains of Pharaoh when I was about 6. That's by Leonard Cottrell. And I was very upset. I used to dong on the piano and wail and sing about the Aswan Dam flooding everything, which had upset me immensely. I couldn't understand why the other little bastards at school weren't sharing my grief. I don't think they even knew what Egypt was, let alone Abu Simbel
Probably
and the
not.
Temple of
No.
Elephantine. And then there was the Allende letters, or Allende letters, depending, about the Philadelphia experiment.
Yeah.
I was about 7.
I love that.
And
Yeah.
then it went from there to the works of Wilkinson. And then Williamson, George Hunt Williamson. And Wilkinson, and they're showing, well, Wilkinson showed weird archaeology around the place, and I liked it. This wasn't mainstream. And then I went on to, by the time I was 10, I was reading Robert Charroux's work, Colossimo's work. And then later, von Daniken appeared on the scene. They were the trailblazers. They wrote beautiful books.
He's a nice guy,
Alison Bergier,
Eric.
Amy
I've
Michel.
met him a couple times, but
Yeah.
he's a
And,
very, very good guy.
Chariot
One
to
of the
the
problems
gods.
with being in Australia, I'm still relatively remote from everyone.
I
And,
read that when it came out too. Yeah, Chariot of the Gods. It came
And it
out like
just
went from
1974 or something.
I've got that somewhere.
I've still got mine.
Yeah,
And I'm still impressed by the work, and I've seen a lot more work on it.
yeah.
I haven't met Eric. I think I had his daughter as a Facebook friend for a while years
Oh,
ago.
that's cool.
Yeah.
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 It's like with Graham Hancock. He's not a friend, but Santha, his wife
Yeah.
is.
Oh, okay.
It's unusual.
See, I don't know. I've never met Graham. I've spoken at Alien Con a couple of times, or I've been on panels for Alien Con.
Yeah.
And they always have Eric von Daniken there, so he's very accessible. And in the green room, you wind up kind of meeting everybody, and that's fun
Oh, you're
for
lucky.
lunch. So
Yeah.
I got to have lunch with Rabbi Sadok, and talk about the Book of Enoch, and they're all nice people, and it's a
I'd
pleasure.
like to do stuff like that, but while you're stuck in Australia, you get no opportunity
I
whatsoever.
love Australia. And
The
I
advantage
miss
of Australia is no distractions.
Yeah.
I can stick to my research,
That's true.
Yeah.
Right.
and I think that's what's helped.
Got plenty of distractions here, so unfortunately.
Yeah. Right.
I even joined MUFON 3 months ago.
Oh, good for you. I'm
Yeah.
glad to hear that, George. I just worked a case with a gentleman from Australia. He's one of our Australian counterparts for MUFON. It was an American who went. They were in West Australia and had a UFO experience, and there was an entity involved. He and his wife or girlfriend, I guess, they saw a little gray guy. And a serious guy, and it was two people. It was two witnesses. They seemed like in their right mind, and so I worked with Mike from Australia what's his last name? I can tell you because I just emailed him this morning. So I did the experiencer part because he was the guy was a local here. So and then Mike, hold on one second. I have to find his name.
It doesn't matter. I don't
Yeah, and anyway, he did the the UFO part. So
Yeah.
and it was a pleasure working with him.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I've got my mites. Yeah, I miss Australia. I mean, my wife
You're
and I.
welcome back any time.
Yes, I have to get to Daintree, and we missed some important places. The Bungle Bungles. Who calls something a bungle bungle? I love Australia. I just love the people, and I love the way they think. And
Yeah.
yeah.
It's funny. I was interviewed last week by a prominent American program, and all we talked about was snakes for an hour.
Oh, you guys have them. You got them. Everything in
got me
Australia
online
will kill you.
to
A
5
little
million
jellyfish,
And you want to talk about snakes and jellyfish? I mentioned your account. I thought,
Well-
this isn't really promoting anything.
Yeah.
The thing is, it doesn't help that you've got Snake Island. That kind of ruins it. Doesn't it, a little bit?
Yes. You don't want
You
to
know what I
go
said
there.
about them?
You can't.
Is
Can you even go to Snake Island?
where's Snake Island? That's in Brazil.
No, it's near you. It's
No, I think
Australia
you're
and New
thinking of.
Zealand.
I think it's off of Brazil. Actually,
It's off Brazil.
Australia. The whole
thought it was
thing is
Australia.
Snake Island.
We're just one big snake. But as I said to them, the only thing I don't want to do, the reason things I don't like and I prefer Australia is we don't have bears, we don't have rattlesnakes, and we don't have copperheads.
Yeah.
And an interesting fact about Australian snakes is they don't inject into your bloodstream.
Oh,
They are
really?
uniquely
Oh,
evolved. They work purely on your lymph glands.
Smashing.
Oh, I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
Oh.
that's why almost 99% of them will kill you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, you just died within 4 minutes instead of.
Yeah.
See,
Long lingering death.
Well, if a
Yeah.
snake or a croc doesn't get you, a road train will.
Yeah.
I think the
They
word
have
we
these
have
for
over
those
here-
who don't know about road trains. They will cross Australia instead of like the usual semi rig that you have in the
Yeah.
United States.
Yeah.
These are real. It's almost like a train. They just
Oh, that's why it's a
Baboon.
road train.
It's a
Yeah.
road train, and they come barreling down the road, and there's no stopping them. And if you're in the way, you're going to be a little patch on the concrete.
You're going to be moved.
Yeah,
A new bonnet ornament. Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
That's about
Yeah.
it.
I think
Okay.
the worst-
I want to
the
mention
worst things we
something.
have here are
Hmm.
badgers, and no one ever sees them unless it's
I
a
love
rodeo.
budgies. Yeah, did you say budgie? They have
Badgers.
No,
so the-
badgers.
okay. They have. I don't know. It's just such an exotic place. You've got the tropical element to it, and then the Red Center is like the Great American Southwest, but it's so different and it's so uniquely its own. And just I
Next
love
time-
Australia. I have to come. I have to go back.
Google challenge for the three of you.
Mhm.
Go to your Google
Yeah.
and just put in inverted commas, the brain,
Right.
the space brain, BRAIN, Ayers Rock, AYERS ROCK. Or
Okay,
if you wish, call it Uluru, ULURU.
Okay, what? Okay, I've got brain, and then what's the
Do
next?
it in images.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Wait
wait
a
a minute.
Images. Oh,
Do you see
Right.
the brain?
see that?
Now remember, it's 1.25 miles to the top of Ayers Rock where the rainbow serpent
Oh.
first landed
That's
on
like a
Earth.
skull.
Yeah.
Yes,
One-
it's a
one
cross section
second.
of a
Yeah.
Dilophosaurus Aboriginal skull.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
Oh
What the
shit.
hell is that doing? And that thing can be seen for miles. I
Yeah, I've
saw
seen it.
in 1972. It is superb. It is rarely mentioned, rarely shown.
Wow.
And it's there where the rainbow serpent first came to bring man to this planet.
Really? Because
Try and figure
I
that one out.
I know Uluru. It's got to be important. I mean,
Uluru
you
is
go,
beautiful.
yeah, you get close to it, and you can feel like just the
You can see it for
vibration
60
coming.
miles.
I don't
Yeah.
think-
Yeah,
Oh, no.
yeah, you can.
Can you guys
You
see
can
that?
Out of the
60
middle
miles.
of nowhere, and you come upon it, and it's just boom.
Put
I
it
mean,
to Google it, Andy.
There you
Close
go.
Encounters of the
Alright.
Third Kind. They should have landed
Yeah.
on Uluru rather
Yeah.
than
See it on
That's
that.
Yeah.
amazing. It's even got the prominent brow ridges and the elongated back of the head,
That's
which is an
amazing.
Aboriginal structure.
Wow.
People don't know
Because
that.
it looked like an image when I first that area on Uluru. I thought that it looked like it had been drawn. I mean, it is so
It's
strange.
carved.
I'm so
That's
glad
weird.
that you told me about that
It
because
is
I
enormous.
wondered about it.
Can you
Have you
see
seen
it?
Can you see
Yeah.
it yet, Andy?
No, you haven't put it on the screen.
I
Yeah.
have.
Put it on there.
I shared that.
I mean, I don't know if you can.
Oh wait.
Please do.
Wait. One
No,
sec. One sec.
That didn't work.
Can you see it now?
Yeah.
The
That is-
brain. Isn't
that's-
that magnificent?
It's like
That
the
is
head.
That's even the
amazing.
hair shape.
And then you've got the brow, the nose, the mouth, the
You
chin.
got
Yeah.
everything. The neck.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that thing is
Seven-
hundreds of feet tall.
Yeah, it
That's
is.
weird.
So you
The-
it was intentionally carved then, huh?
The
It is
seven-
so
Okay,
strange.
well, if it wasn't, it's an amazing simulacrum.
Yeah. That is
yeah.
weird.
It is
Hmm.
a created structure
Wow.
from the
Okay.
rainbow time.
Never even seen that.
Wow.
No,
That's
I didn't even know
fascinating.
it was a thing.
No,
No, I
most
didn't.
people don't know about it. They know about Ayers
I've
Rock
got a
and the Isles
photograph
and
of
the rest.
a younger standing in front of that, but I have to go through my photo albums. There's literal. I think we had a digital camera. They had digital cameras, but you'd have to print your pictures out still, or
Yeah.
put them on
Okay.
the internet. You know, I've got
Okay,
I've got them all
today's-
in physical photo albums. So they're my Australia pictures. But yeah, I do have a picture of
Okay.
my fake Akubra hat and standing in
Mm.
front of the.
Earl, I'll give
Mm-hmm.
you a challenge.
Sure.
I'll give you a challenge in front of our illustrious and esteemed audience
Mm-hmm.
and our beautiful presenters, who I love. I think they're great. They
Thank
probably
you.
think I'm a boring old fart, but it doesn't really
No,
matter.
we love every single one of you.
You've got resources far in excess of myself. I'm just in a house in Picton in Australia. We need to find the solution to that.
We do. I agree.
Yeah,
To find
Definitely.
the portal.
Imagine we
know?
can then find where the portals are opening. You can use them for healing. You can use them for traveling.
Hmm.
Imagine the positive things you can do with them.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think that it's a
It
fabulous
all ties
idea.
in. Time and place, mathematics.
Hmm.
I mean, look at these things. They don't come up as random.
Yeah, that's crazy. Well, we'll talk about this. All right, we're in touch online and stuff. So I'd love to look into this as well. It's
Yeah.
and I think you're
It's the next
certainly onto
stage.
something. Yeah.
I've always been ahead of everything. I'm not boasting. All my research has been ahead. As I said, I was talking about multiple meteorite impacts in the 70s.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
And only
that's
the last 4
that's the
years
favorite
and people are even
hypothesis now.
discussing them. I
Yeah.
recently wrote a new book on the comets and meteorites that killed the dinosaurs.
Hmm.
There's a host of them, not just one.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've had books. I published a book on, where are we? Oh, it's up there somewhere.
Well, look at the far side of the moon. I mean, it took the brunt of a lot of those mites, and that's it. It's it was hit a lot, and that means we were hit a lot. You know?
Yeah.
It's just that our weather patterns and
There we are.
continental shift and all that
Yeah.
raises a lot of what you would normally see there, but
Yeah.
it was multiple hits.
That's a little book. My smallest books, apart from my new mini books, are 300 pages on average. That's 718.
My
Yeah.
God.
Full of maps and graphs and things. And so
Fantastic.
you can see what's going on. It's all cometary impacts and meteorite
Hmm.
impacts on Earth since the beginning. When I published that, I don't know, 10 years ago, 12 years ago, 15 years ago, whenever. I can't remember now. I forget their titles most of the time. The title's the last thing. I'm publishing. I think, what the hell am I going to call this thing? Okay, right. And in one section, the second oldest meteorite impact on Earth, Barberton crater in the Greenstone Belt in South Africa, which is 60 miles across roughly, 3,260 million years ago. Okay, it's a meteorite. It's the second oldest recorded up until the time I read that. Okay, there are lots more. I was trying to flesh out the article because I thought, if I write a book that says, meteorite attack 3,260 million years ago, blah, 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 landed here 60 miles diameter, next, who the hell would want to read this thing? So I picked up an article from elsewhere, and it wasn't on meteorites, it was on Barberton. The oldest remains of fossilized anaerobic bacteria ever found on Earth were found at Barberton. They date to 3,260 million years ago. Bang.
Wow.
They came in the big mud ball, which is commonly called a comet. Because all a comet is a ball of mud and ice.
Dirty snowball, I heard it called.
A big snowball.
Yeah.
A big mud ball, really.
Yeah.
The outside
Dirty.
protects you from solar radiation. Inside, it's about 80 degrees Celsius, switched to a bacteria. This is a pleasure cruise. We're on the Oriana sailing through the skies. This is the QE2 for a bacterium.
Yeah.
Same space, same time.
Do you think it was intentional that it's a form of panspermia that was going on?
I just think it's part of the randomness of the universe. There's always something random, as you said before. The slightly erratic nature of most sightings and things is erratic. It's subject to interpretation. So it's like a cosmic clockwork universe that needs to be checked every now and again because it's winding down or winding up or doing something. I published that book. I contacted the leading science program on the ABC, Australia's national broadcaster, bringing you only the best scientific data for one of their crappy programs. And I said, look, I just released all this data, 700 pages, complete history up until 10,000 years ago on this, Oh, we can't publish any of your work because you haven't been peer-reviewed and you're not regarded as a scientist.
My God.
I said, all the major discoveries were done by non-peer-reviewed, non-scientists like Rutherford and other people. Oh, but that doesn't matter now. And I said, well, you can beep your every program and shove it up where the sun doesn't shine. End of conversation.
Yeah.
Following morning, published on Amazon that night, 718 pages. It's not a light read. Following morning, a 1.5-page diatribe appears on Amazon. Do not buy this book. It is blah, 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 blah. It's not written in a scientific manner. It's chronological. It's data from sources. All my books have bibliography, sometimes bigger than some people's books. You can refer.
God.
You want sources? They're over there. Get them. A 1.5-page diatribe. My book bit him on the ass.
Yeah.
That was great. It's still there.
Wow. There's just a lot of closed-mindedness out there, unfortunately. It just, and I think that it's again, we're going back to what we were talking about, 2 hours ago when we started, but I think that they're just afraid of how the public is going to react to certain things, I think.
Yeah.
And they're just trying to control the way people think, and they don't want you to think that deeply and
Do you know what else?
question history as it is written,
As we're winding up, the other thing they're controlling is their jobs.
Yeah.
Yes.
The professors and the media have to stick to a line of, I don't get tenure.
Yeah.
You don't get tenure, you don't get an income. I'll give you a simple example. Louis Leakey, the great anthropologist, the great archaeologist who found some of the oldest humanoid remains in Africa. went to North America, found the same style of remains. In Africa, he was a spear leader. In North America, his reports were regarded as absolute rubbish
Wow.
because no one was supposed to have inhabited North America prior to Clovis people in 30,000 BC.
Yeah.
I've written about histories of that too. There's so many archaeological human remains and events in North America dating back millions of years. But once again,
Yeah.
it's to protect the hegemonic oligarchy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Ugly 2 words.
Yeah.
definitely.
But I'll keep fighting them.
I mean, the Aboriginal culture, they say that they've been in Australia for 40,000 years. And
They've been
according,
here for 100,000 years.
yeah, that's what I think as well, you know.
Yeah.
But they keep finding things that are older and older and older. You know, the site in Turkey, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I've
that
got
they
sites
unearthed
in,
I know what you mean.
recently.
there's a site in Ethiopia called Chabe. It's a gorge with carved cattle along its sides.
Mm.
The roof is caved in. It's 80,000 years old. 80,
My
not
God.
12. 80.
Wow.
You
Yeah,
start looking
I
at things
absolutely,
like
I
that.
know this. You know, I mean, it's.
I've written books on them.
I'm gonna have to get a couple of those.
Just go to
Sure.
Amazon. When you're searching on Amazon, please put the full name inside inverted commas. That way you isolate
All
your
you got to
search.
do is go on Amazon. It's just a list of George's books.
Yeah.
There's nothing else on there.
No, no room for anything else.
Right, you've
It's
got
like the
five-
real Amazon, huh? It's a jungle out there.
Oh yeah.
Jungle of
Deep
books,
mysterious.
George's
Yeah.
books. You know.
We have 5 minutes remaining.
Oh God, no!
We've gone over.
So I would do 10 hours on this.
long to know, Dorothy. Jim, you know, I'll let Jim know.
Right, we have. Can we do quick fire of 5 questions?
Sure.
Is that all right?
Quick fire.
You got to be. You've both got a minute on each question.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
You ready?
Oh, no.
Let's
God
go.
help us.
Go.
First one. So, nickname. When will George and Earl come to the UK? We need an already awake tour.
When can you pay for it?
Yeah, exactly.
I actually thought the
That's a
same
good
thing when I read it.
Love to. We'll stay in your
Yeah,
house.
I would
It's
love
fine.
to.
Stay at
Sure.
mine is
You know.
not a
Welcome.
problem.
Yeah.
I've got a spare room and a blow
Guys
up
have me there
mattress
for the OLM. You know.
Oh yeah.
Definitely.
Event. You know,
Yeah.
I'd love to come and
Next.
visit you guys.
More than welcome.
Mhm.
Very
Please send checks or cash. I'll give you a BPay number.
Space Cadet. Would George think Karahan Tepe was built? What
Tepe.
was
Tepe.
Tepe was built for? Please.
I haven't done much research on Göbekli Tepe recently, or Karahan Tepe, or the other tepes that are being discovered now.
And thank
I'm
you,
gonna hold my
Göbekli Tepe.
judgment.
Yeah. That's
So
the one.
Karahan Tepe is next to Göbekli Tepe, or very
Yeah.
close.
Yeah.
No,
It's supposed to be older, right? I mean, that's the
yes,
older
it's meant to
side.
be older.
Yeah.
I haven't read much on Karahan Tepe lately because I've been busy writing these other 22 volumes based on 7,500 pages of notes. And no, I'll put that in abeyance for the next interview. I apologize.
Right.
Cool.
Sorted.
Next one. Space Cadet again. Do the guests have an opinion on what the mysterious cauldrons found in the Siberian desert? I'm making words up now.
Yeah, you're right, yeah.
Siberian Valley of Death are. People believe they're put there by aliens. You can do the
George,
next
I'm
one.
unaware of the mysterious
I've
cauldrons.
seen them on Facebook, but I didn't really look into them that closely.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of
Yeah.
Siberian reports, they're wonderful photos, but there hasn't been much investigation because they're so damned remote. It's like the things in the middle of Australia where you find strange archaeological relics that aren't meant to be there.
Yeah.
So,
Australia
Marty,
flying
I'm a
over.
failure. I'm sorry. Mea culpa, mea culpa, mea maxima culpa, if you ever learn Latin or
Yeah.
a Catholic.
Yeah,
I'm not a
we're
Catholic.
not gonna
but it's a
blame
great
you, George.
phrase.
I was going to say Australia. From when you fly over I mean, everybody lives on the coast. You fly over most of Australia, it looks like Mars down below. Pretty wild, amazing. I mean, I took a lot of photographs from the plane just because it was so impressive.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe we'll find a face on Mars there. You know.
Oh yeah.
Deb, you
Next
can do these.
question. Rick Allen wants to know, if portals are to blame for the missing 411, why is it being confined mostly to national parks?
I'll stick to my usual way of using Occam's razor, which is the simplest explanation is always the best. In Australia, some of our best murderers have favoured national parks.
Yeah.
You find more bodies in a national park because it's easy to bury and easier to hide.
Yeah.
Okay, we can discuss portals like Angeles State Forest outside of Los Angeles, where kids have been disappearing since the 1940s.
Yeah.
That's right. I lived on the
Things
edge
like
of that at one time.
I think a lot of them. I'll just say something quickly. Sorry, Deb. I know we're running out of time. I basically read almost every book on every subject I can find because I buy them, I bring them home, I devour them, and I find that so many books are the same books. They're all using the same data, which are all borrowing from each other. So you suddenly find 50 books have been written on this subject. Yeah, but they're the same 9 data points because I go through and I count data points. Yeah, it's this one, it's this one, it's this one, this one. And suddenly you find some piddly little thing that was an event in 1971 has become a series of books that's now on YouTube and as a reality broadcast somewhere.
Yeah.
And bugger all happened.
Exactly.
Cool.
Right, last question quickly for all of us, this one. So we'll start with George. If you could have anything under your Christmas tree, what would it be for the panel? So that's from Joe Weeks. George.
I'll be traditional. Peace on earth. Goodwill to all humans and animals.
Yes.
Long life and health to everybody. And an end to the war in Ukraine because my family comes from that area.
Oh.
Nice one.
I will mirror exactly what you said, George. It's very, very, very good. And yes, peace on earth, and goodwill to all men, or some people interpret that peace on earth to men of goodwill, and maybe that makes a little more sense. You don't want
it does.
You don't want Hitler to have peace on earth.
Not really.
So yeah, I think it's a better interpretation. So yes, and an end to the war in Ukraine. I agree. I have a friend in Russia who's against that war.
Yeah.
Andy.
Oh, can we go see you first? Because I'm going to ruin everything that them two have just said. I was going to say an alien probing kit for Umbra and Rick Allen and anyone else who wants to.
You can go to Soho and get your own done.
What's going on?
No, it may be probing. It might not be an alien.
A reusable alien technology probing kit. From the middle aisle of Aldi.
Yeah.
They're cheaper at Aldi, but they fall apart.
I have to say, mine would be peace on earth, an end to all cruelty, and an Audi R8. Just for me.
Good. There we go.
Would we be able to chat for a couple of minutes after the broadcast?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good.
Right.
So
thank you, Pat.
I just need to show a book to a couple of people in the chat because it turned up today and didn't think it was going to. Hunt for the Skinwalker by George Knapp.
Sorted.
And Colm Kelleher.
Colm Kelleher.
Yeah. So that's going to be read over the next 4 days I've got off work.
Enjoy.
Yes. Yeah.
You have to read Skinwalker at the Pentagon. That's the kind of a sequel. And that's a good one. Although they don't talk enough about the Skinwalker in my opinion.
Yeah.
But
somebody else said that in the reviews. I was going to get that. That put me off a bit, actually.
Yeah.
So
it's high strangeness, so I like it.
Yeah, I like anything like that.
Me too.
How many 294 pages.
It's worth reading. I enjoyed it. It's a good book.
Yeah, I've been recommended by a few people that it's
Yeah.
one of the best books on Skinwalker.
I was
Yeah.
informed that George Knapp is a huge Paul McCartney fan. I mean, he's a
Oh, is he?
Beatles fan, but he's mostly up. And I love Paul McCartney, and it's kind of interesting when you bump into somebody else that's obsessive. You know,
Yeah.
I didn't know that about
Yeah.
George, but yeah, he's friends with my friend Greg Bishop, and Greg just told me that. So,
Brilliant.
Oh, cool.
Mhm.
Right.
All right, you guys, Merry
Sorry.
Christmas, Happy
Oh.
Hanukkah, Happy everything
you.
out there.
We have come to an
Absolutely.
end of
No!
this. Is
Yeah.
the last,
Wow.
this is the last one of 2022.
Oh
is.
my God!
Our next, this is the 6th of
Mm.
January, where
Yeah.
we've got Preston Dennett and
Oh,
Dolly
Preston's
Saffron.
good guy.
so they're both coming on, and they're going to be talking about her abduction and the book that they wrote together.
Oh wow!
And then
Preston and who else is it? Preston.
Dolly Saffron,
Dolly Saffron.
Oh, okay. All right.
the abductee.
Okay.
And then the week following that, the Wednesday after, we've got Steve Mera and Barry Fitzgerald.
Yes.
They're coming on together.
Wow.
Confirmed yesterday from both of them.
Well,
Yeah.
say hi to Preston, especially for me.
Yeah.
He's like my local guy here.
Yeah.
But I
cool.
usually I see him at online or at the symposium or something. But he just lives a few miles from here, apparently.
Oh, right.
That's what I hear. But
Awesome.
Superb.
Yeah. So, but I'm doing my first stream on my other channel on the 27th of December at about 12 o'clock midday. So if
Yeah.
there's anyone about that wants to bother watching it, good luck. That's all I'm going to say. I don't know how good it's going to be. I might have to start day drinking before I do it.
Yeah.
Do we
But-
need to do day drinking before we hear it?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well,
So
I've
this is
started already.
January
Spring-
6th. You're saying? I hate to tell you, I think I have oral surgery. Or no, that's the 5th.
no.
Yeah,
27th.
Oh, 27th. Oh, okay.
In 4 days' time.
Oh my goodness. All right.
I'll send you the link, Earl.
Yeah, send me I think I'm yeah. I think I'm here.
You're not very well.
Yeah.
Right.
I hope
And
you're here
Deb-
for a few years to come.
Yeah.
and Deb's is
Yeah,
doing
exactly.
when you're doing your next one, Deb.
My next one's on the 8th of January. 8th of January. I've just uploaded it now, so
Cool.
tonight.
So that's it from everyone here. A
Yes.
massive thank you for everyone and their support for the last 12 months and
Yes, thank you.
longer. We couldn't have done it without you. We couldn't have done it without the guests.
No.
All the
Input, the question.
information that we get, the questions, and just the guests being amazing. Every single one of them.
Yeah.
And it's even better when we get two people on like you. It's just you couldn't write it, could you?
No.
No,
It's so
don't even try.
so
No.
good.
We have good timing. There's a guy outside using a leaf blower right now.
I thought
It
someone
could've-
was hoovering up.
It could have started 2 hours ago, but
I thought
so there
Lisa
you
was going to
go,
come
I
behind
guess.
you there with,
Yeah.
with
With a Henry.
I'm waiting for the
Can
cat
you
to
hear
jump
that?
on the
That's
desk.
really loud.
Yeah.
God.
So
Uh,
have an amazing Christmas and New Year, everyone.
Yes.
You
We
too.
will see
Do
you on
that.
the 6th. People keep saying they keep seeing orbs going past.
Yeah.
I've not even got my fan on today, so I don't know why it's happening.
Oh, well, you'll have to watch
Very
that back.
strange. Yeah, I'm gonna. Have an amazing Christmas, a Happy New Year. Thank you, everyone, for everything you've done. Interaction, just everything, just absolutely everything.
And we'll see you next year.
We will indeed. So
See you next year. Thanks for
You will.
inviting
Andy
me.
is saying goodbye.
I am.
Goodbye.
I got to turn this microphone
Merry
off. This
Christmas.
is just overbearing and loud.
I
Sorry.
hear it.
Too much. So yeah, I'll be in contact with you both anyway. So have an amazing time, and if you're both good to stay on for a couple of minutes once we go off air, that'd be great. Thank you, Joe, for doing a little bit of modding. I know she's in a lot of pain with her knee. She had knee replacement a couple of weeks ago.
Oh dear.
So
That's no fun. I've had 2 of those. I know what that's like.
I've
That's
had a
not
hip.
fun.
Anybody can up
Any race from hip? Do we hear an advance from hip?
can I have a body
here.
replacement?
I don't want to. I've had both hips and both knees. Well, anyway, I don't want
just
to talk
need
about it.
the
It's too
pain.
depressing.
Full body replacement is what I mean.
That's what I'm
That's what I
looking
need
for,
as
I
well.
guess. Yeah.
So
An
yeah.
avatar, I guess.
yeah,
A permanent one.
that'd be amazing.
Anyway, yeah.
Right, so we're going to have to go because we are limited to time, especially
Yes.
on Facebook, and we've got like 2.5 minutes left before they start
Yep.
kicking us off.
Bang the outro.
All right, you
I
guys.
know. So
Have a wonderful
Have a-
holiday, and we'll see you next time.
Yes.
So-
All right.
from all
Ho
of us
ho
here,
ho! Merry Christmas
ho.
and a happy
Christmas.
New Year.
We'll see you soon.
Bye
Take
bye.
care.
Good night.
Bye bye.